Hello and good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the weather live stream on this Friday night. Obviously a very busy Friday night with Friday football getting going here, and thus it is now more important than ever to keep an eye on severe storms, which we have mainly kind of one cluster. We have multiple warnings just now starting to cross into the area, actually about to kind of pass into the Lincoln National Weather Service office out that direction. Right now, most of it just kind of concentrated there in Logan County right now, but the big thing we're watching with these, take a look at how far ahead this warning is. It's got that black border around it too. That means things are under considerable damage. That's what that tag is. We have 70-mile-an-hour gusts here possible with this storm. So that is the biggest thing that we're watching for here tonight. And we're going to kind of watch this continue across much of the rest of the area. I'm going to quickly pop up your severe thunderstorm watch, then we'll get to the details here on this current storm. We're just kind of watching this little alleyway here between I-72 and I-70. So we just kind of watch that same cluster of storms move on throughout the night here tonight. So that is the area that we have the greatest concern for moving ahead here tonight. Like I said, with plenty of high school football games going on. If you're out there, or you know anybody out there, or plan on heading out there at some point, we're already getting there to the 8 o'clock hour, so I guess things have already really gotten going across much of the area. You'll definitely want to stay safe here with this, not only for the gusts, but for the lightning as well. Let's just pop up that lightning here real quick and talk about how, yes, electric these storms are. Just take a look at how many bolts we have there across the screen. Things are lighting up, and I will show here real quickly the Springfield cam. This has been my best camera for kind of keeping an eye on the lightning. I might have to angle it down here a little bit, but that big old shelf cloud really starting to pass on through. This thing looked prominent, and it looked defined there earlier. I'm just going to point things down a little bit and just kind of let you look there for yourself, even take things full screen to get a little bit of a better look. Actually, it was full screen. Now we'll switch it there. As you can see, plenty of lightning there, looking pretty much directly north there in town, a little bit off to the west there as well. Just kind of an ominous look out there, kind of almost purplish looking there underneath that cloud, as we have plenty of lightning piling on through here. So let's switch things over now. We're going to pop up on our radar image here again. We're going to go into the storm. We're going to take a look at some of the strongest gusts that we're seeing right now, especially with the core of it there just starting to get into Logan County. So we'll get our little velocity tool out here, just kind of take a scope in. You can see plenty of areas there that have some pretty intense gusts. Also, in particular, just kind of watching this little region out here, just kind of some downburst action going on there. And we are going to put our little identifier in there and just kind of see some of the wind speeds that we're getting in there right now. That one down at 50 miles an hour. This is pretty close to the ground there, so we're getting closer and closer to the weather office. I did manage to grab one a little higher than that earlier, so let me click around here and see if I can find anything. We're getting close to 60 miles an hour there in a few spots. I did grab, I believe, like 62 earlier, so we're talking about some pretty impressive wind speeds. There's another 50 there as well. Let's grab it one more time there and get the bullseye. I believe I saw something right at 60 up there in kind of northwestern Logan County. We'll drop on in there. 47, trust me. It said 57 here on my screen earlier. So anywhere you see those bright greens, that is the biggest thing to watch for right now. Those strong gusts that could honestly get a little stronger than what we're seeing right now here. To move ahead to the rest of the night. Got one person in here, Jaden, asking any tornadoes expected tonight. Originally, I would have said no, just kind of watching how this thing is kind of, oops, forgive me for the error there. Just kind of watching how this thing is evolving. It may very well be a possibility here tonight. Not saying anything is a large possibility here, but definitely not throwing it out the window there, as we'll just watch and kind of see what happens. Not the classic setup. We don't have all the perfectly correct ingredients there to get those tornadoes to form, but once these storms get going, they sometimes have a mind of their own. They can just kind of do things that are hard to read. You just kind of have to watch it there on the fly and see what happens there with some of those. I'm going to see if I can just count how many lightning bolts here that we've had in the last little loop here. Let's grab our little identifier and check out just ahead of the storm here. I don't think I got the best part. Let me back up and get that in there again. Let's just kind of drag over this area and just take a look at how many lightning strikes we've got. Number of total strikes, 326 just in the span of time that this thing has started to enter the area. So obviously a big thing with a lot of people wanting to be outside there during the football games as well. And we've got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy on the road. Do you know whereabouts he is at the moment, Jacob? I can pull it up here.
He was over, he was in Forsyth.
He was in Forsyth earlier. Let me see if I can track him here on our little GR system and see where he's at. But obviously he's
in the Logan County area.
He's heading
kind
right
of knowing
there.
where he was coming from Forsyth. I think he cut across to 121.
Just kind of
So he's
taking
probably somewhere in that region. But you can see the lightning. It's pretty impressive.
It is impressive, and
I saw that shot, and I was like, I got to get that on for you real quick.
Yeah, got to toss that on there whenever we got Kevin out there checking things out. So he is either in Logan County, on his way to Logan County. Either way, he is looking straight up there into those storms. I'm trying to track him down here. I can't quite point out his vehicle, but yeah, you can see it there for yourself. Plenty of lightning there within those storms. If you are outdoors or are planning on being outdoors at any point, might want to rethink that here as these storms begin to barrel on in and approach. Like I said, the big thing to watch for is 70-mile-an-hour gusts. I'm going to pull up our little wind gust graphic here and just talk about the rest of the night, because right now things are kind of at that 60, maybe approaching 65-mile-an-hour range. The rest of the night, kind of just watching this general swath here in the pink. You could be talking about gusts near 70, maybe even upwards of 70 there in a few isolated spots. The general widespread risk is still probably going to be anywhere between 60 and 65, but we're just going to watch that one little corridor there to see how everything plays out. What we're expecting is kind of small coverage here with some of these storms, but big impacts if you are underneath some of those storms. As you'll see right now, just taking a look at the entire area, there's very little going on. A lot of you on the stream might not even have anything going on other than pretty much sunny, maybe even clear sky. I should say sunny. It's 8 o'clock p.m. Nothing but clear skies out there. Maybe some nice looking sunsets. So really nothing too imminent here inside the area unless you're there in Logan County, but just kind of looking ahead there, those warnings are well out ahead of the storm, and for good reason, because as these storms continue to strengthen up here, we'll just kind of watch as those shelf clouds, those gust fronts out ahead of the storm. That's going to really make the gusts felt even ahead of that line of rain and lightning in there. So we're checking a look at this right now. I'm going to go ahead and drop down our little storm squall and just kind of time things out here of where this is heading. It's moving about 30 miles an hour directly to the southeast right now. So we'll just pull things out and take a look at the places in line for this. Tri-City High School there, one of those places in line. Also seeing potentially Illiopolis, Mount Auburn. Take a look at their Westfield High School, Harristown, any of those places that you are seeing on this screen there. That is a potential there within the next 45 minutes or so. So just watch as this thing moves on in anywhere there in that zone. It's going to be something to watch for. And we're flipping things back over to Kevin Lighty now. As you can see, things are still staying well lit even past sunset here as that lightning continues to be a major issue for anybody there in the outdoors. We're hoping that this can kind of hold off before it can get to the middle of the area here, just with all the activities going on here outdoors on this late summer evening. But yeah, lightning going to be a giant issue, along with the wind going to become a big issue here later on as well. So we're kind of just watching to see where Kevin ends up there. I imagine he'll be able to get pretty close into this one and maybe even be able to kind of attest to these strong wind speeds in there. So anyone asking for the biggest threats tonight and where you might see it, my answer to that would be the strong gusts. And there, hail's kind of a secondary threat. We'll kind of just watch to see what all happens out of that. But I would say your wind threat is going to be your biggest concern here as we move ahead into the night. So that would be your answer to that. As far as locations to have the greatest impact, again, right now I would say that is going to be kind of just a general swath between I-72 and I-70, kind of just in a line here with these current storms. So kind of just draw things out here. Just kind of heading down there to the southeast. Potentially could be kind of a problem there around the Mattoon-Charleston area as well. Obviously crossing over into Decatur, that looks to be pretty likely here at this point. So just kind of over the center of the area, so to speak. So those are the places to keep in mind and to be on high alert for here. That cold front is going to drop in a few storms tonight, finally make things feel a little cooler tomorrow, but we obviously have a little bit of a battle to fight here tonight until we can get to that. So right now, this little cluster of storms hasn't gotten too much wider there. Obviously, it's intensifying as it moves on through, but the aerial coverage with this one is going to be a little bit on the smaller side of things. But still, we'll kind of have to watch anybody in the path of that. Like I said, you could be talking about places like Decatur here later on, perhaps even into the Sullivan area, Mattoon-Charleston, quite a ways away from that here at the moment, but it looks like it might be in line there at some point further down the road. We're going to toss back on. I'm going to put up my Springfield camera here and see if I can get things turned around. We'll just kind of watch as the lightning just puts on a show here. We'll get things zoomed out here a little bit and pointing more towards the north. As you watch this thing, you can see that Springfield cam really rattling around right now. Even though the storm isn't really into the Springfield area, it doesn't matter. Those gusts can be well out ahead of some of those storms. We've got quite a few antennas and poles here to battle with this cam as well. But you can see in between all those, this thing is just sending out a bunch of lightning and just making an eerie look there with all the purple in the sky as the lightning starts to become a major factor here as it enters into a good chunk of the area. I'm going to toss back up here our velocity image and just kind of keep an eye on things there.
It's interesting because that's the Springfield camera. How far south that leading edge of wind is.
Right.
You can kind of see it pretty clear there sweeping through Springfield. The outflow winds there on that south side are pretty far south of the storm. And so essentially there's a lot of energy in that storm. So Springfield, they might even not get any rain here from this in particular storm, but they're certainly getting the wind, and that might be an issue on the south side of the storm as we keep an eye on things here. Other thing to mention too is that backward C shape that we have, and you kind of see in the reflectivity there, Seth, how that backward C shape is setting up between Springfield and Lincoln, and that's a clear sign we've got a lot of surging wind in there. So I think there's going to be a big wind bag for Mount Pulaski, Latham, to the southwest there towards Cornland and along 54 between Mount Pulaski and Springfield, eventually towards Decatur. That'll be the next major city in line, so we'll have to watch that closely.
Yep, with that backward C shape there, that is always a big indicator that those winds are starting to really start to surge out. And the reason you see it in that C shape, the strongest winds there in the middle, going faster than any of the winds on the edge, and it's just going to kind of make it bow out. And we'll probably see that bow become pretty sharp here as we continue on to watch these here. Again, I'll toss back up the velocity image and we can just kind of watch things together. That is the major thing right now as these storms move on through. Like Jacob said, Springfield right now, not even getting any rain, but that doesn't mean that you are free from the gusts. Just kind of pulled up Springfield Airport's latest observations here. They do have a 38-mile-an-hour gust, obviously sub-severe, but that's pretty intense when you're not underneath the storm there. It can kind of catch you off guard, especially when things have been relatively calm all night long. But yeah, Logan County right now, big thing to watch is those strong gusts, and we've got that severe thunderstorm warning now extended well southeast of the main storm as it really starts to expand its territory there over into Macon County now, as well as parts of northern Christian County. So we'll toss back on our reflectivity here and just watch. These are some far out ahead of the storm warnings, and for good reason with these gusts now well out ahead of the storms as well. They're starting to get out in front of those storms. Definitely plenty of lead time is going to be needed with this as well. And this one out front only warned for 60-mile-an-hour gusts. This front half there is the one warned for 70. So we'll kind of just watch and see how this storm kind of evolves as it moves on through. Maybe seeing a little bit of a weakening in the gusts by the time it gets there into the Decatur area. But right now, still kind of watching for those strong 70-mile-an-hour gusts that could eventually make their way into the I-72 area between Decatur and Springfield there. So plenty to keep track of here, even if it's just over a small fraction of the area. And actually do kind of have a northern component here to this storm as well. Just kind of looks a little disconnected, not the same kind of impacts as the one you're seeing to the south. That one could potentially be an issue there for anyone along I-55 there between Lincoln and Bloomington as well. Kind of just put things in motion there, just kind of see how that one's moving around. We'll slow things down here for the last hour. We'll zoom out just a little bit to get the best view of it there. And that one, yeah, kind of splitting off to the east. So we'll see what that one ends up doing. Obviously, just in northern Lincoln County there at the moment, but kind of taking a little bit of a turn to head towards the McLean County region as well. Also keeping an eye on our chat as well. Anybody that is here within these storms, like Macy says, winds picking up big time there in Lincoln. I'd be curious to know as well. I'm going to take a look at Lincoln's observation site there and just see what kind of gusts I can come up with there if they are still reporting. Sometimes when these storms barrel on through, those stations become a little more quiet there on their readings. That might be what we're seeing right now because I've got a wind speed pretty low here on Lincoln's reporting station. So we'll just kind of watch that, keep an eye, and regularly check to see what's going on there. As we watch these storms kind of move on through, maybe picking up a little bit of speed. It looks like these are moving just a little faster than what they were earlier. Still not any kind of high velocity storms there as far as they're tracking across the area. But obviously they are bringing pretty high velocities in there. I'm going to toss it back over. I'm going to look at what Kevin's looking at here again and just kind of see what's going on here. His direction, he's just kind of out there watching across the field at quite the lightning show. I'm going to go ahead and try to bring his thing full here just so you can take a better look at it. Obviously, night sky taking full shape there, but it doesn't stay black. Honestly, yes. I mean,
the show it's putting on is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, this is something to behold. Obviously something to behold if you are just kind of sitting inside watching or, out there with Kevin there storm chasing. But for anybody outside, when thunder roars, go indoors. That is the big thing tonight, and that was quite the flash that Kevin just saw there. So not only high volume lightning, but pretty high intensity lightning as well. So if you are outside right now or have any kind of plans the rest of the night outside, definitely time to get things moving indoors, or at least keep an eye on things as they get closer to you to make sure that you are going to stay safe in here, because we don't often talk about lightning being a big threat, but we know there's lots of people outdoors, like we know there is the case tonight with all the football games and high school activities finally starting to shape back up. It's a big deal. It becomes a big impact there, and probably our second biggest impact there, aside from the wind that is kind of coming on through. We're going to look back over here at a radar image now, and I'm going to take a look here into these storms again just to see what's going on, as this is moving right over the radar there in Lincoln. So we can get pretty much right to the ground results here as we take a look on in. And obviously you see those colors changing. That is as it moves right over the Lincoln radar there. So obviously green towards the radar, red wind speeds away from the radar. So as it kind of goes over the radar dome there, that is why you see those different colors kind of mixed right together. Kind of hard to make out immediate details there right over the radar as that kind of moves on through. But you can see kind of little pockets there, kind of northeast of Sherman up 55 there, kind of just seeing those greens and reds next to each other, not necessarily rotation, but kind of those downbursts that we were talking about. I'm going to drop one little tag in there and just kind of see what kind of indications we're getting. Again, nothing too crazy popping up there when I dropped them in, but definitely seeing gusts kind of between about 60, maybe 65 miles an hour here with some of these as this starts to move well into the area now and kind of getting halfway through the Logan County region and on its way there quickly into Macon County. Pretty decent rainfall with this as well. Not a major concern though, as these storms don't have great speed, but enough speed there to really not cause too many issues there as far as flash flooding. Maybe some isolated spots, we'll see that. But right now, the wind is the big thing, and this has all been kind of congealed into one big warning now, still tagged for 60-mile-an-hour winds. And not to be forgotten, hail size is still there, just around a quarter size. Obviously not major impacts there with that at the moment, but something to not be too surprised if you do end up seeing. We'll take a look back in Springfield now. Probably have to move things a little bit to the right if we want to see the lightning, so I'll take care of that here real quick. But you can see that camera shaking pretty good as those gusts have already pretty much started to move through town and kind of hitting their peak here as we just watch the camera bobble around. Hopefully we don't get anything too bad as far as blockage here from some of these poles and antennas. We'll kind of just watch the lightning show here looking north in Springfield. There was a pretty good flash there on the screen. So obviously things picking up pretty good even when you're not underneath the storms here. And that will be another big thing to watch, just kind of those gusts starting to spread out from underneath these storms, kind of get out ahead of the storm a little bit as well. You don't have to be seeing that rain. You don't have to be right up there against the lightning to kind of get part of the show there. So the wind activity is starting to spread here, even into parts of Sangamon County as well. So we're just making sure everybody is aware of the situation right now with all the lightning, all the wind. Just want to be in your inside your home, and the kind of safest spot you have here if you're starting to get these storms to be right outside your door, as this is going to be something to watch the rest of the night. We'll kind of see how these gusts evolve with time, but still thinking 60 to 70 miles an hour is definitely on the table here with some of these, as we've kind of watched these storms pass on in, kind of not seeing quite as much of any kind of odd signatures there on your velocity as far as any kind of rotational things. That is all of a sudden, kind of taking a back seat to the big time gusts, and now starting to see a little part of the storm extending a little bit south, starting to catch parts of the Sherman area, maybe just right outside Springfield now as well. So we've been saying Springfield hasn't been seeing the rain. Well, here in a minute, you might very well just be. We'll put things in motion here. You can just kind of see that little southern part really just kind of blew up there in the last 5 or 10 minutes, just right there north of Springfield. A little bit of extra there now piling on to the southwestern half of that storm, as it is now pretty much passed through the Lincoln area. Maybe some more rain to go there, but now all of a sudden next up, eastern Sangamon County. You got Macon County, I-72, soon to be a player in this as well. If you know anybody that's out there on the roads tonight trying to get anywhere, you might want to let them know now to kind of pull off wherever they can, and just make sure that they're safe here as these pass on over, because 70-mile-an-hour gusts potential with these. don't want to be in a vehicle on the road there, especially on an interstate with kind of no tree blockage. That would not be a good situation to be in, to just be kind of tossed over around on the road. So that is pretty much the current situation here. We'll feed the lightning back on there and just watch this. The lightning has maybe let up just a little bit, but that is that's not saying much because there's still a bunch of lightning here. Lots of concentrated bolts, especially in that one now north of Springfield. I'm really starting to wonder what that camera here still looks like. I'm gonna put things back on there and just kind of check it out. But yeah, anybody with reports here, I'll kind of just comb through the comments and see if anybody is seeing anything up there around the Macon County and Logan County areas. Still have a few people asking about what the rest of the night holds, particularly near where they live. Right now, places to watch, obviously kind of north of Springfield. Decatur next in line. Decatur might take a little bit of a direct impact here with this storm before too long. Kind of just have to watch places like places down in Sullivan, Mattoon, Charleston as well. Jacob, you got anything to add here at the moment?
Yeah, I do. I think we have Kevin in the storm tracker. I'm going to pull up the storm tracker on program. You can see straight ahead. So if Kevin hears us here in a second, I'm going to flip it our way, and we'll get to see him maybe show up on the screen there for a minute. And if so, then we're going to let Kevin talk about what he is seeing out there. So Kevin, last check was towards the Latham area. I don't know, again, if Kevin can hear us. Kevin, if you can hear us, go ahead and tell us where you are and what you're seeing. Okay, maybe we don't have Kevin. I'm not sure if he can hear us, if he stepped out for a second. I'll text him real fast. But we want to hear from Kevin in just a minute as that storm moving kind of towards him. He can give us an update how frequent that lightning is and whatnot. So he might have stepped out, honestly, to get some videos or pictures of the lightning there before it gets too close to him. So I will check back in here in a minute, Seth, and we think we have Kevin. So I just text him, and we'll put you back on now.
All right, sounds good. So that's Kevin's view out there as we look towards those storms. Now getting ready to head on into Macon County, and we'll kind of just watch his shot there for a couple more seconds. Just watching the lightning there really start to pile up. Got a lot of people now starting to ask, maybe some just now tuning in, where these storms are heading here tonight. I will show once again here my severe thunderstorm watch graphic, which does a pretty good job there of kind of paving the way for these storms here tonight. Any of those counties highlighted in the pink has a shot at seeing some of that severe weather, as that will go until midnight tonight. So not watching too terribly prolonged activity here with this one. And it's over a very, very small portion of the area. It's going to have a pretty narrow swath to it. And some of those counties highlighted in pink, you might not end up with anything, as it just really looks to be over kind of one little narrow corridor. Places like Champaign, we might not see anything. We might not see any of the rain. We very well could see the lightning and maybe feel some of the gusts as they move on through, but definitely not looking at peak intensity here in the Champaign-Urbana area. Down to the south, though, Arcola-Tuscola is a little bit in question there. We're just kind of watching how the track of the storm is playing out. We've got Amanda here saying lost power very temporarily on the edge of Athens, so absolutely understandable here. That's going to be a big result here of some of these storms, is some of the power outages that we might see. You know, strong straight line winds will do that here. And like I said, just look how narrow the storm is. This thing is not very wide at all. In fact, I'm just going to take my ruler here and just kind of measure things out. This thing's no more than probably 20 miles wide there at its core. Obviously, there's more to the north of it there and a little bit of an appendage to the south, but that main core of the storm, only about 15 to 20 miles wide. So your chances of getting hit by this aren't extremely high, but if you do end up getting hit by it, that's something to definitely watch for there. Got a little bit of activity here in my earpiece, so I'm just going to check it and see what's going on. Do we have audio from Kevin now, Jacob? Do you know?
Yes, we have heard from Kevin, so we'll pop him up here. There he is. Hey, Kevin. Kevin, go ahead and tell us about what you're seeing and where you are.
Yeah, got a nice little view of the storm here. I'm actually located here just between Warrensburg and Latham. And so switch you over to my camera here. That's putting on quite the light show for us. I'm out here. The storm is about on us here. It's going to be on us in the next probably 10 minutes or so. And just almost constant lightning that we've got here off in the distance with the storm. We've been watching it really light up the sky. Starting to see a little bit of an edge of that, essentially shelf cloud kind of starting to roll in. So it's going to be that gust front that's going to come right along here in just the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Again, I'm between Warrensburg and Latham into northwestern portions of Macon County, and going to be watching this come right at me. There are some 60-mile-an-hour winds with this, and as you can see there from Illiopolis to Latham, they're about to get hit by it, and I'm seeing, and I don't know if you guys can see kind of the structure of that. Every time you get a nice little lightning bolt there, it kind of gives you a little bit of the sky. But you can see kind of that shelf cloud that is moving in. It's going to kind of turn the vehicle a little bit because you can really see. I wish it was daytime so bad because you could really see just some great structure with this. And you can see my headlights there. Maybe I can shut those off here for just a second so you can see that. But I'm literally probably in the next 10 minutes going to start to get those gusty winds along here. Again, I'm by where the big wind farm is over here. Just behind me are all of the windmills, wind turbines that are back here. So we'll see what happens when the winds come across that. It's always been an interesting thing for us to watch on radar. We know this area here has been known to interfere with the radar a little bit there in terms of, trying to determine what's going on with the velocity. But I'm going to be right beside these windmills, and we'll see what they look like. But that's kind of the report here for right now. Again, you see just every once in a while that edge of it about to light up the sky here. We're going to keep you updated on what we see, but it's going to get interesting here in the next few minutes. We'll let you know if we get any reports or try to estimate some winds. It'll be a little hard here. I don't have a lot of trees and whatnot around me. I've got a lot of corn, and we'll watch for that. So reporting in the storm tracker for now. We'll send it back to you guys. I'm sure you're going to want to keep watching my shot because it's about to hit me in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin. We're a little jealous of you down there, I think, right now with all that lightning and the good view. Maybe something that's a little optimistic is it seems like maybe the leading edge of wind is surging out a little bit ahead of it, and that might lessen the blow to Decatur. There's still going to be some good wind and the lightning as well with Friday Night Football. I'm wondering maybe if you pass by a few games, you could tell a few small towns out there on. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting out there, Kevin. We will look forward to hearing from you. We're just going to enjoy your shot.
Don't want to cut you off here, Jacob, but your audio readings look a little faint, and it looks like it might be coming from my microphone. I'm not sure if yours is actually picking anything up. It just looked a little faint here on mine.
Say that one more time.
It looks like the microphone, it looked like I was getting a lot of audio from you out of my mic instead of a different mic, so maybe yours is not...
Our ears are on different...
Okay.
So
I had one person in the comments earlier made it sound like... Okay. It made it sound like earlier on one of the comments.
So I think they've got just your mic on.
Okay.
Something I was going to tell you here, by the way, they just did it now. They just pulled that new severe thunderstorm warning for the northern part.
Oh, yep.
That northern storm, that southern storm, that wind blowing out, it seems like it's kind of lost its oomph a little bit. The lightning count has certainly come down, but it's been going up on that northern storm. And I'll just pop my radar on real quick and talk about it. There's that new warning. This is going to include southern McLean, northern DeWitt counties. Be from Bloomington to Clinton, and in between there, could be some 60-mile-an-hour winds and maybe some quarter-sized hail that is pushing through. So that's another area where we'll have to keep an eye on. You kind of look at the lightning earlier. That storm there near Lincoln had a lot. There still is some, but I'd argue that northern batch has really picked up in the last 15 minutes or so. And as I back it up, you can see the intensity of the lightning has really started to pick up more in that northern storm. So I'm not surprised by that severe thunderstorm warning there. Last 15 minutes, so about 300 strikes of lightning, which is a pretty high rate. So that's going to be a new warning there for Clinton, Hayworth, Leroy. It'll include Farmer City. I imagine there's some of those football games out there in the HOIC conference are going to be having to delay there in that area. Olympia, where that storm located now, and that would be moving to the east. I'll be interested to see how that north storm also interacts with that outflow boundary. which would be something worth watching, but certainly this seems like it's going to be a wind. The hail threat might come up in this storm a little bit too. That'll be something else we have to watch. So.
I've got a few people still saying they're having troubles hearing yours, at least on the stream over here. I've got a few comments saying that yours is not as loud as mine is anyway, so I'm not sure.
You know what? I think what's happened is I switched mics and didn't realize that.
Maybe you did. I was wondering
because
because I was seeing the
okay, people can probably hear me better now.
Yes, they can. Yep, it looks like it anyway.
So, okay.
Yep.
Yes. I turn it on.
Yeah, yours is definitely picking up better now.
This is what happens when we outsource our audio and production to us with the switcher in the weather center and do digital here. We had a TV. It had it right
lost
from the
in the
start.
middle there without a doubt. But yes, now I've got some people saying they can hear you much better now.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to hear me anyways. Nobody wants to hear me anyways. Anyways, what I'm saying, that northern storm definitely has more lightning picking up on it there. That southern storm really pushing out quite a bit. And if we kind of draw a line, I'll take the lightning off real fast here and put a little line on the edge of where that storm is so we can compare things. You know, there's that leading edge, and if I switch, I don't think it's going to stay on, but kind of focus on that line. Well, that's pretty close actually to it there. To me, it's showing signs that at least the wind is ahead of the heaviest precip from that one. So we'll watch that northern storm there, Atlanta to the Olympia School District, Minear, Stanford, southwest of Bloomington. A lot of lightning with that one. All of them we got to watch. So that storm's going to be more north too, which if it keeps up, geez, you know, we were thinking, oh, maybe this will stay south of Champaign. Hold on a minute, right?
Could be taking a little bit of a different approach and start to head this direction. So kind of two main areas to watch. Those in kind of the maybe the Clinton area might get a little lucky here, or I guess unlucky if you're still wanting a little bit of rain. So they might kind of split the gap between a couple of these. But yeah, two different areas of focus. Now starting to be very far northern DeWitt County and southern McLean County, and now really starting to get ready to see some action over there outside the Decatur area too. Let us get the Decatur camera turned around here. I had it ready to go there earlier. It's probably getting a nice view here. We'll get that swiveled around real quick before we pop it up.
And while we got that radar up there, by the way, they actually have just had reports of structure damage in the Delavon area and Hopedale. That's going to be Tazewell County. That's going to be from that storm that's now moving into McLean County there. From strong winds is what that's going to be from. There was a 62-mile-an-hour wind gust measured in the Delavon area earlier from that storm. So these storms do have lots of wind. And in fact, let's pull Kevin in real quick here and just bring a shot up. I don't know if Kevin can still hear us or not, but I got a shot up here. Kevin, if you can hear us, he's kind of zooming into the breeze coming in. Kevin, if you can hear us, if you can flash real quick at yourself on camera, we'd like to see if he's still listening in. If not, you can kind of see, ooh, look at that lightning that just, there he is. Okay, he can hear us. Kevin, let's go ahead and toss to you real fast. And we got your camera up. Talk to us a little bit about where you are, what you're seeing right now. Kevin, go.
All right, good. Here we go. As you can see here, there's the street sign that I'm at here, in between Warrensburg and Latham. You can, we've really kind of seen, you can actually see kind of the wind really picking up and moving around the signs there. You can see some of the corn there as well, getting a workout, the lightning in the distance there. Had real good gust of wind as the leading edge of this literally just came across my vehicle here. So we're rocking pretty good here right now with these winds. Again, kind of, I don't have trees to really look at to kind of gauge the wind, but I mean, there's some decent winds here. Again, I am literally just south and east of Latham, almost to the county line there, Macon and Logan County line. But the winds have definitely picked up here as this first little surge right on the leading edge. I'm just starting to get some of the rain from this as well, but you can see it is pretty windy here. Again, as this line comes in, kind of bowing out a little bit, kind of kind of, you know, they're pushing out ahead. Curious to see what happens here. Looks like a pretty widespread area of some, you know, 60-mile-an-hour winds that are possible in here. We're just going to kind of maybe follow this thing in. You can really kind of see the structure. Here, I'm just going to turn the vehicle around a little bit to maybe give you another view to see if you can kind of see the shelf cloud here. It's kind of tough to see it. I'm going to turn back around this other way here just real quick, because the whole line, the whole shelf cloud itself, and maybe if I shut off the lights here again, I'm on this side road here, but you can look at, so you can see the flashing lights are going to be your windmills there. and you can kind of make out a little bit off in the distance of some of that that shelf cloud as it moves in. But those winds are definitely here and rocking pretty good. We're going to continue to monitor things here and maybe follow this back in and see what we get. But now I'm getting in some of the rain, but definitely some gusty winds here as the storm crosses into northwestern portions of Macon County. We'll continue to keep you updated. Send it back to you for right now.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for that. Hope I didn't blast some eardrums there by accident.
Nah, it was brief enough. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Kevin, you can hear us. I think the wind might pick up a little bit. Some signs of maybe the stronger wind's lagging behind a little bit. But looking at your location, that wind's certainly pushing on to the east. Then to the north, just so you're aware as well, that storm that's in southern McLean, northern DeWitt County. We'll have to keep an eye on that one as that starts to move more towards the Champaign-Urbana area. Right now, it'll be Hayworth, Clinton, Leroy, Farmer City, Weldon, and that one. Got an interesting little radar feature with some of that wind coming out of the McLean area. That's the city of McLean in McLean County, southwest of Bloomington. Right there, it's right off Old Route 66 on 55. But certainly that wind signature coming in now. We probably should take the Decatur camera as well, shouldn't we? That might be something else. I'll flip it over to you, Seth, and then you want to switch the camera, or?
Yeah, I can get it pulled up here. Just
okay.
One swift
That's
flip.
going to be coming in pretty quick into the Decatur area now. We got that aimed to the
Springfield
northwest
there.
there.
There's
Springfield.
Now there we go. Decatur will pop up here in just a second.
I mean, still, that lightning is pretty intense, even in.
Obviously, a little more still there indicators. The winds haven't arrived just yet, but you can kind of make out the structure of the storm with the occasional lightning there. More than occasional. It's pretty frequent out that way. This is now the big one to watch as that gust front really just right there on the edge of Decatur. No real motion on the camera yet as far as the winds taking effect, but we'll probably see some of that here in just a matter of minutes as the big gusts really start to pile on through. And I can definitely tell now on just kind of looking at radar, that gust front now, just kind of getting a little bit ahead of the rain. So we'll watch to see what that does here with the storm. But yeah, that one to the north now, all of a sudden, kind of catching a little bit of attention. Kind of split on what ways we're looking here as far as the two different storms that are now kind of on the far northern end and southern end here of this big old line. We'll keep an eye on both of those here as we go throughout the night. But yeah, that's right now looking in Decatur. Things pretty calm here. But as I said, the next 5 to 10 minutes, this camera could look a lot different down there on the street level. Might see some trees really moving around there and some pretty heavy rain soon to come as well. We've already got the lightning. That's kind of the first thing, obviously, that you'll see as this storm moves on in. But much more still here to come. I'm going to toss on my little velocity image here and just show you what exactly we're up against and where it's at here at the moment. So we'll start off here just with our reflectivity, seeing where the rain is. As you can see, Decatur still looks like you're a decent ways away from the rain. As we flip things over into velocity, all of a sudden, boom, a little bit closer there. These gusts pretty strong. Anywhere you see the really high pinks and kind of starting to get more into the tan color, that's when you're starting to talk more about 70-mile-an-hour gusts there than anything. So we'll kind of just have to watch them. We'll obviously hear from Kevin as this is probably really starting to get overhead right now. I'm going to just take a look at his camera just to see what's going on in that direction. Oh, yeah, that's a good shot right there. Just looking there into the fields as the wind is really started to pick up now.
And the interesting thing about that storm, too, is the lightning's pulsing back up, but it's now kind of on the southwest side there over Mechanicsburg,
correct,
heading towards Mount Auburn. And so Kevin might kind of be in that area. He's at, looks like Wise Road and Lincoln Memorial Parkway there. We might have to, this might be, you're going to still get the wind in Decatur, but maybe we'll see that more intense storm to the south side towards Macon, Moweaqua, parts of northern Christian County, towards Stonington, Booty, off towards Blue Mound, places like that. So that'd be something to watch, and that might carry it closer to Pana, Shelbyville versus Mattoon, Charleston. I'm not saying Decatur's in the clear. Still going to be wind and plenty of lightning, but then that storm to the north, lots of lightning on that as well. Pretty intense storms here as we continue to watch Kevin's shot there.
Yep, that's absolutely what we're seeing now, especially at the ground level, watching many spots here. And also, just kind of keep an eye on that southern appendage there. That's starting to creep on into northern Christian County. We'll get things back up here on our radar and just kind of take a look at an overview. Again, not a very wide swath here, but definitely kind of a little mini line of storms, a little bit of a mini Boeing segment here that we're just going to kind of have to watch and see what it does as these gusts start to pick up there in some more populated areas. And soon to be just south of Bloomington there is this one particular storm that is now starting to write a story of its own with some of those stronger gusts. So multiple places to watch, and we're going to pop back up the lightning there as well, as we'll see pretty high intensity there pretty much all along this line. But as Jacob just said, looking down to the very far southwest, that's when things are at their absolute peak. Right over Mechanicsburg, Mount Auburn, starting to get there into the Blue Mound and Booty area.
And what's interesting, too, is look how far ahead of the storm those lightning strikes are.
Oh, yeah, these are well out ahead. Some of those cloud to ground lightning, that's why we say thunder roars go indoors, because you can hear thunder. Maybe the lightning looks far away, but I'll grab a ruler here and just kind of see how far away we are from any of the rain. That's 10 miles away from where the rain's falling. So,
and the same with the northern storm now, those lightning bolts well ahead of the bolts. I mean, we're just seeing some bolts now by Downs, a good 10 miles ahead. Clinton had a lightning bolt 9 miles ahead of the storm. That's not a good thing to see with these storms, is there's lightning happening well ahead of them. We got high school football out there tonight. So, Piatt, Champaign, Moultrie, by now Macon County is probably suspended games. And then into Shelby County. I mean, those are the areas that are next where, hey, keep an eye on that, as, folks will be having to move pretty quickly here.
Yeah, things, hopefully they've been able to stay ahead of these and just kind of watch as they have started to enter the area, because, this is definitely something you want to anticipate rather than react to on the fly. So anyone out there, or anyone that knows anybody out there that is outdoors, whether at a football game or just outside in general, definitely move things indoors, get your stuff together there, and get to a safe spot, because even if those gusts don't hit you directly, there's lightning all along this segment here, and that is going to be a major impact for anybody there in the outdoors. Pop up Decatur here and just kind of watch as this storm gets ready to roll on. Still seeing pretty dry conditions down there along the streets, and pretty still conditions as well. The lightning, obviously, they're making its presence felt there in the distance. Very minimal activity there from the Decatur cam anyway, but things are about to ramp up there pretty quickly. So we'll keep up on radar again and keep an eye on these, as now they're kind of starting to split away from each other. Not much going on in between these storms, kind of up and down 51 there between Clinton and Decatur. Now all of a sudden, might just be looking at a little bit of light rain, obviously some lightning in between here and there as well. But as far as, any kind of wind or hail, as you can see in the gap between the severe thunderstorm warnings, there's not a whole lot going on there in that little portion. But now just, really starting to watch the southern end of the system as these storms kind of evolve. What looks pretty intriguing for 1 minute, 5 minutes later, it might start to die off and give way to something else there, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So northern Christian County, and now really more so southwestern Macon County, are the places to watch. We'll look at the wind here again. Just kind of see that.
They're saying it's 60 knot, which is about 70 mile an hour winds, 2,000 feet off the ground, heading into Forsyth.
Yeah, so as that starts to get closer and closer to the ground, obviously, not too far above the ground there, where you said 70 mile an hour winds, and some of these storms, we'll just kind of watch as those winds kind of start to mix down to the surface. We'll see if they get there, but even if the strongest ones aloft don't, we're still dealing with 55, 60 here at the ground. Obviously, plenty of those strong gusts, and kind of looking around the Decatur area soon to kind of sweep on in here in just a moment. Forsyth, Decatur, Booty, Blue Mound, anyone out that direction. Also kind of just watching the Sharpsburg and Kincaid areas to see as those gusts will start to shape up as well, where you kind of see the little more highlighted areas of kind of the pink. That's when that's where that gust front is located here at the moment. We'll see if I can just kind of put things in motion just to see what direction everything's heading in here, and just so you can kind of see things for yourself there. Maybe I can slow that down, because that's kind of zooming on through the picture there. So now we got things slowed down here. You see that gust front starting to move out ahead of, just a little bit ahead of some of those storms. In other places, it's kind of just right in line, but anywhere you see kind of these kind of more pinkish colors instead of the maroons, that's where you're starting to see some of your strongest winds out there ahead of the storm. And not to be forgotten, let's look at that northern storm as well, and just kind of see how everything's playing out there. And it's starting to develop quite the array of gusts itself too. Just kind of south of Bloomington right now, might actually be getting something pretty impressive as well. Starting to see things kind of become a little more uniform along the line. Fewer weak spots here in between both storms. We'll restore things here to our reflectivity, the more common radar image that I'm sure a few more are used to. And again, lightning, big factor here, and some lightning bolts well out ahead of some of these storms. As Jacob and I were saying earlier, good 7, 8, even up to 10 miles out ahead of the storm. Let's get a look at Leroy here real quick. As Jacob said, let me get things zoomed out here. So here is what we are looking at as we get ready for these storms to really start to punch on through.
Kevin says he wants
let's
us to
send it over
come to
I'll
him.
get
So
his graphic punched up here, and we'll look
there
over
he
him.
is.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Kevin, go for Kevin. What you got?
Dude, we're getting rocked here, man. I am telling you, it is about as intense as it's been. Again, I've not moved from my location, and I just had a lightning strike probably, I don't know, a quarter mile away. The winds here, again, if you want to plot me, again, I'm right between Warrensburg and Latham, just north of 121. So literally just north of 121. And these winds are cranking. I think we've definitely had some 60-mile-an-hour gust in here that just kind of hit me. It's interesting because the leading edge actually wasn't the strongest. The stronger winds are behind that first initial surge. So I'm just telling you, you know, those winds are tucked in a little further back into the storm. So don't kind of let your guard down after that first little push comes through, because there is almost a secondary push that's happening here. I'm going to follow this thing back into Forsyth, I think, because that's where this is going. But these winds are really kicking up. Just kind of rolled through here. I'm going to try to make my way back into Forsyth there and just kind of follow these winds. But I kind of purposely kind of set myself up here in an area that wouldn't be too bad, because there are some power lines and things on some of these country roads that I have a feeling if I start going back towards that way, there might be some lines down, because actually things are looking a little bit darker towards that way. So I don't know if there's been some power outages, but I'm gonna venture back across, see what I can find out, and I'll be back with you guys here in just a little bit. So there's some winds in this though. This thing's going right into Forsyth, so just be aware between Forsyth and Decatur, some pretty strong winds. Send it back to you for now.
Alrighty, thanks Kevin for that report. He's obviously got the best view there right on the ground, and he is going to try to continue to make his way there. I'm going to just kind of plot him here on our radar. He was kind of talking about his location for anybody kind of nearby that might want to see a sample of what he's feeling. I'm going to drop on in here. I've got my other radar up there. Let's switch to the kind of the better look there. There we go. So let's zoom on in, and Kevin was just around here, kind of in that far western Macon area, kind of closer to the Logan County area there. So now he is on the move, watching obviously as plenty of strong winds and pretty intense rain starts to fall just around his location. Maybe the worst of it now, not necessarily getting ready to head into the Decatur area, but still some pretty strong gusts are about to hit town there, and probably already have. I'm going to look at the Decatur cam just to see if things are, the camera bouncing around just a little. Looks like the worst is still kind of on approach there. And what I'll do, you can see the lightning pretty well, plain as day. I'm going to kind of zoom in on that tree there, out there in the parking lot. I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it and kind of watch and see how gusty things get over that way.
You know, I think those lights there are actually one of the football stadiums down.
Yeah, very well could be. I was thinking the same thing, kind of just look like stadium lights out that direction, and my camera stream is just a little bit laggy here, and I can probably understand why as that storm gets ready to head out in front of it. So maybe I can't adjust things very easily here. So we'll just kind of keep that one in place, as it looks like that choice has kind of been taken out of my hands here by the incoming storm. So things get ready to pick up there right in town in Decatur. And also for other places such as right south of Bloomington, as we've kind of got a two-pronged approach here with some of these storms that have really kind of split off into two major chunks here that are really starting to kind of become dominant there. So watching the western Macon County area, northern Christian County areas, and now southern McLean and northern DeWitt. And we are just kind of watching as these move on through. Even if it's not raining on you, you probably are feeling some pretty strong gusts. As you can see, the wind well out ahead of the rain there as things start to pick on up and make things feel pretty gusty there. Hopefully there's not too much mayhem going on down there at the football games. As I said, hopefully they saw this on its way and were able to adapt and adjust. But if they haven't already, things are probably getting a little messy down that direction as the wind begins to kick up and as rain is soon to fall. Hopefully some of those lightning strikes were enough of a deterrent there early on to kind of get things moving as far as getting people to shelter and getting that all taken care of there. Of course, we are here to hear anything that you may be seeing or have heard from anybody there. Feel free to drop it down there into the comments and we will relay things along. Always helpful to have viewer reports there, as we'll have people like Kevin that are out there on the scene and people like you that are in other places that we need to keep an eye on as well. Always helpful there. Obviously, don't put yourself in any sort of danger. Just kind of, if you have a view out your window, take a peek. And Jacob, you got something?
Yeah, radar sampling 76-mile-an-hour winds now between Warrensburg and the Forsyth-Maroa area. So I suspect, I'm thinking we should turn that camera more to the north in Decatur.
I agree. That's probably the move here.
And
at this point.
we'll see if we can't see any sort of, kind of trying to get it turned here.
Yeah, it wasn't very responsive when I was trying it earlier, so maybe it's...
Let me just refresh the browser then, but see if we see anything to the north there. The other thing for housekeeping purposes, once we get here to another 2 or 3 minutes, I know you've got a show to do at 9, I'm going to take this back to the weather office, and it's still not working for me here, of course.
Let me see.
Let's try that one more time.
Yeah, I'll try to refresh it too and see if...
I don't think we lost signal to the camera. Well, maybe we did that one.
Feels like these usually do a decent job of kind of sticking through the storms. But yeah, this one, I'm only getting kind of a spinning wheel here when it comes to trying to turn my camera, so.
Not getting that spinning wheel for other things, but let's talk about where that wind is heading. So that's going to be southern Piatt County and then into Champaign and Douglas County based on that path. They still are warning it for 60-mile-an-hour winds, but they're talking about winds being stronger than that. So I'm wondering if we're going to get an upgrade to the tag or something potentially, but that rain is coming in there, and if you bring that camera back up, you can still at least see the rain, even though I've lost the ability to control it. Certainly still seeing the rain in town there, and so that's going to pick up even more here before long. I think we might get a good view of that coming on in. So
yep, so we'll kind of...
And then if you want to check your phone real quick.
Yeah.
While we're kind of figuring this thing out here.
Not so good.
Yeah. So we're kind of...
not sure if
trying to figure out.
get...
I don't know what's. Here we go. I got control back here, I think.
Okay, you get control on the camera, you're saying?
I got camera control back. There we go.
Good, yeah,
so I'm going to turn it more to the north and kind of see. I think that's north. That's a little bit more north and east. Interestingly enough, I think I see some police lights down there. I don't know if you can see what I'm looking at here.
I think, yep.
That right there. That's probably not related, but these are used for spotting other things. And it looks a little dark to the north to me too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks absolutely dark that direction. We're well past sunset, but some of the lighting,
usually you can see the lights there up towards Forsyth and whatnot. And I'm just going to
really illuminating too much here at the moment.
There's a big flash there. So yeah, that should be more lit up, I would think. I think there's some power outages in the Decatur area.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We're going to take a look at the outages here and just kind of see if there's any big reports here at the moment. Obviously, these are going to be a little slower than any kind of physical reports here. Oh yeah, we've got at least 650 out in Logan County right now. Macon County lagging behind here, still says 0, but I would not be shocked to see quite a few outages. Menard County, those storms earlier, upwards of 1,200 here at the moment. So that's a big thing to keep an eye on here is those power outages, those strong winds. That is going to be what they do. They can obviously kind of take shingles off the roof, but a big widespread thing that they do will be knock down those power lines. So that is that's a good thing to keep an eye out for there on that Decatur cam. Just kind of
do we have any viewers reporting power outages at all?
Let's see. Jamie says in Decatur and we have power. So
still have power.
So
it just looks a little darker up there to me towards the Forsyth area. That could be the heavy rain.
Yeah, that's the only person.
Well, I just saw some lights flash on suddenly that were off on that camera.
So far, that's the only person that's had a.
So something's going on up there.
In Harristown, they have power, says Cody. So
See, I saw these 3 lights right here. They just came back on. I didn't see them before, and all of a sudden I saw them pop on there. So a lot of strong wind coming in Decatur right now. Seth, if you want,
I was gonna say,
you want to transition? You get ready for the show, and then I'll run things here.
And I'll get things ready for the 9 o'clock show here.
Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put on that, and then for the other switcher, 8, I'm going to put on, looks like Kevin's offline now. Put weather metrics 4 on. And I'll go ahead and turn you off. We're kind of switching here. Seth's going to take the TV side of things. I'm going to go to the back office. So, Seth, you're off now. I'm going to go to the back office and start to control things from there. And then if you can as well, while you're here, Seth, go ahead and just text me. If you still see my icon, my microphone moving when I'm back in the office here. You'll know I'm back there when I start taking control of this right here. So just kind of resetting. It's 8:54 now. We're switching out of the studio and kind of handling digital behind the scenes. And so that's certainly something that we'll continue to watch here. And so we will be watching these storms continue to move off to the east. And as they do so, the wind potential, I think, going to be a problem for us. So that might be something we have to watch for the foreseeable future. So, getting logged in here. We'll get back on Max 1. And then I'll be looking for a text from Seth just to confirm that he can see what's going on. Okay, so I'm on the computer now. Kind of setting things up. Bear with me here as I get things going and in place as we switch over. PA8, is it? Oh, okay. I think he can hear me. I'm hoping. My mic is hot. Let me just check the Facebook feed, see if people can still hear me or not. We're kind of switching where we're going and checking things out here. So let me just pull up the live on my phone. This will be a way we can kind of tell. Good. All right. So we're able to hear. All is well. And so, okay. I'm going to take over from behind the scenes here as we keep coverage up. A lot of wind coming in Decatur now. In fact, let me bring that camera back up here. Our Skycam showing the intense rain and wind now moving into the Decatur area. These storms are continuing their track to the east. We've got 2 storms we're watching. This one now really impacting Decatur and Forsyth. And so that's going to be where we have to watch in particular. And then we've got another storm in the Bloomington area that we'll be watching closely too as they continue to work their way to the east. Could be a problem for us. That rain starting to really come down in sheets there in the Decatur area now. And there's still some intense storm as well down to the south and west. That is going to be in parts of Christian and Macon counties, something that we'll have to keep an eye on. That storm will be moving to the south and east a little bit more. And as it does so, then we're going to have some probably extension of those warnings into parts of Shelby County, maybe parts of the Christian County area, and eventually into, say, places like Piatt County and things like that. So that's what we'll have. If you want to text Kevin, ask him what he wants us to do now. You just text it in the group, and then I'll see that and can help arrange things with him. Okay, we're kind of switching things around here, so bear with us. Continue to watch these storms. 8:57 right now. You'll be able to watch at WCIX. Seth will have forecast on TV. I am handling things from behind the scenes here as our severe thunderstorm warning continues now for parts of Christian, Macon County. Might see an extension in northern Shelby, Moultrie County, even towards Piatt County. And then this storm as well in the Macon DeWitt County area. That's something we're going to have to watch very closely as it continues to move to the east. That might be a problem here in the next hour or so for Champaign, Urbana, which is something that we need to monitor closely here. A lot of lightning with it. In fact, we talk about the lightning from these storms. There's been some lightning strikes well ahead of these storms at times. So that's going to be something where, eventually Champaign County, some of our games in town here in the area, even all of Piatt County, eventually Moultrie, Shelby County going to see some delays. There's certainly delays in McLean, DeWitt, Macon, Sangamon, Christian, Logan counties for any high school football games. Just kind of how the cookie crumbles on a night like tonight as we continue to watch things pretty closely here. So I'm going to try and figure out if I can get by chance a look at some of your comments. And I may not be able to see all of the comments the way this setup is. I only have access to one of the computers. But if you're watching and you've got a comment, I will be able to see comments on my Facebook page. And so if you head over there, that'd probably be the easiest way to take a peek at it. In fact, I don't. Okay, there we go. So I see some comments on my page now. If you've got any, let me know. Would appreciate that. It's always good to get viewer comments. There's the new warning. We thought we'd get a new warning coming out. That's going to be for a big swath of real estate, all in Moultrie, northern Shelby, even into Coles and Douglas County, parts of southern Piatt County. You'll see the warning get posted pretty quickly here for that storm as it continues to move off to the south and to the east. So Mattoon, Charleston. It's going to be for 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Looks like Seth accidentally switched my screen there and controlling Max 1 a little bit. He's on Max 2 for the show. There we can see that storm. This storm I think is going to be a problem here. This one's going to be the one where maybe we get the larger hail and some of the wind. Farmer City's next in line, Mansfield, moving into Leroy now. Eventually Fisher, Mahomet, Seymour. I'd say Champaign County, we're going to have some weather delays pretty quickly here. So 9 p.m. right now. Kind of getting a message taken care of here real fast as well. Multitasking, what we do in this business. Going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out for parts of Piatt, Champaign counties here before long, with the storm moving on in. And so that's going to be the northern half of the county. As soon as I get that finished up there, you can see now we got a couple of warnings, a couple of storms that we're watching, and I suspect, just kind of checking the National Weather Service chat and things of that, it will be moving off to the east. So we shall see how this plays out. I haven't gotten any reports of wind damage. I haven't gotten any reports of hail, but we have seen them in various sources. We have seen reports in periodic places of some power outages. Looking at the power outage numbers, Seth was talking about those. And I'll just kind of pull up some of those numbers again here. They're going to climb, I think, fairly quickly. Looks like the bulk of it has been Mason, Menard, and Logan counties. This looks like we haven't had any reported recently in the areas where these storms are. McLean, DeWitt look okay, but it does take those reports time to come on in. And that's what we're going to keep an eye on here. So, yeah, watching all of these storms. We'll take on the velocity again, kind of check that northern storm, make sure. Something that interests me is there's these little kinks in there, and while not immediately likely, it's just suspicious where we have to watch these types of situations. They're kind of on that leading edge, and a little bit of wouldn't take much to make something happen. So that would be the case. Boy, Decatur just probably took a walloping from that wind. Look at that wind core that swept through town. And let me just pull up the Decatur. I'm going to pull up the Decatur airport. That should be centered over the airport now. We'll see if we've got any wind gust reports from there. Wind gust of 40. And I know I'm going to be able to dial in and check if there's any faster ones or not. Decatur Airport has a wind gust of 40. That's the last check that came in at 8:54. We should get another update pretty quickly, but I bet they're getting some really strong winds now. You kind of sample some of these little spots in there, and we're potentially seeing some 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts now heading towards Moultrie County, so that's a concern as well. So 9:03. And that should carry it to the Lovington, Hammond area, be Dalton City. Kind of checking all these sources in here. That'll be a problem. It may just graze Douglas County, Arcola, Arthur. I wouldn't rule out Tuscola. Tuscola, I still think you're going to get wind in Tuscola, places like Tolono, because wherever these storms are, while the actual rain is not there, you kind of feast your eyes where that bright pink color is there. There's not a whole lot of rain-looking things, but you're going to have wind blowing out. So I still think there'll be some strong winds in southern Champaign and parts of Douglas and a good chunk of Piatt County. But the strongest wind now blowing through the Decatur area and is moving off to the south and to the east. There's still some pretty intense wind, 50-mile-an-hour gust plus in the Leroy area heading into Farmer City. And I'm just going to check the hail cells. I haven't looked at that recently. I'm suspicious that northern storm might get a little more hail. There might be some less than quarter size up there. Not really concerned about that, the southern storm. We just got to watch all of this really closely here and keep an eye on things as we've got these two storms now zipping to the east for the northern one, and then the southern one going to continue off to the south. Now, on this current track, that core of the storm heading to Moultrie County, eventually going to hit Coles County, and will probably graze and hit parts of Douglas County. Lake Shelbyville, it's a weekend. There's probably a lot of folks camping out there. And so if you know anyone at Lake Shelbyville camping, and I'm kind of, again, hitting the multitask button here. Just thinking that's going to be where we have to watch. There should be something new. Let's see if they get any more info. Got a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust reported in the east side of Decatur. Have not heard of anything from that northern storm, but that's going to be coming right into the Champaign-Urbana area. Let me pull up the sky cam real quick. There's the Decatur sky cam. Pretty intense batch of storms that's coming on in now, and then I will switch. That's electric here. You got any high school football? It'll be a nightmare with some of those games. They thought, hey, we need to and we want to get the games off and things like that, and that just has not been a friendly night because a lot of places tried to delay with the incoming heat. So there's the Mattoon camera. That's going to be next in line from that Decatur storm as far as views go for us. And you can kind of see the lightning in the edge there. So 60-mile-an-hour gust reported there. Let me see if the update from Decatur Airport is coming. They had a gust of 43. That's on the east to the southeast side of town. So that doesn't look like. I'm kind of plotting where that intense wind is. I think that intense wind is kind of sweeping through the southeast side towards Mount Zion more than anything. You can kind of see Mount Zion. There's Decatur Airport popping up. That strongest wind probably just south of the airport, not by much. There's still some strong winds in there, so I'm not surprised by that. Then we got these little reports coming in, some breezy gusts being reported, that northern storm. We'll see if they end up extending that. I would think they might, but the lightning, that's going to be probably the big check. Oh, there's still quite a bit of lightning with that up there, so that's something where we could still see that being the case. And then as I look at the sky cam, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to show the Champaign sky cams, kind of turn those to the west here. And I'll bring the stadium camera up first. We'll see, that's looking off to the west. You can see some of that lightning. I might turn it just slightly north. So we'll go ahead and do that here, perhaps. You're looking off to the west from Memorial Stadium. And so the strongest part of the storm is just west-northwest of town. It'll be probably more Mahomet Fisher, but there's still going to be some wind in town here. So as I turn that a little bit, that is something that we'll have to watch. I need to text my news director real quick. Okay, so there we go. There's that camera. Getting some reports also coming in from Gibson City of what's being called a heck of a light show, and that does not surprise me with these storms. So we got that. Let's get the studio camera out. This is the one that's over the TV station, kind of facing. That's going to be a little more northwest, and we'll keep that one there so we have a good view of as the core of the storm passes off to the north here as it moves on in. So looks like we're going to figure out pretty quickly what their thoughts are with that northern storm. By and large, the worst of the wind now is heading into Moultrie, southern Piatt County. That'll be probably Tuscola south, and then kind of looking at the northern part. There's some wind up there. They may just replace that with a special weather statement. And if that happens, you should still get a notice on your WCIA 3 weather app. So we'll keep an eye on that. But boy, that's a big wind bag heading for Coles County right now. There's kind of checking my Facebook Messenger as well here. That's going to be some wind coming in. Between Sullivan and Hammond will be where that core of wind comes on through. That's going to be like Lovington, LaPlace. Eventually that's going to be Arcola, Humboldt, perhaps towards the Mattoon, Charleston area. Going to be pretty impressive wind bag coming on through here. Lightning as well, intense lightning with these storms. That wind is kind of on the leading edge there. It's not immediately likely, but I think we could see some of the strikes kind of out ahead of this storm as well. I haven't seen any. Well, there's one. We've had a lightning strike all the way by Fisher. So you can see that the storm is kind of continuing off to the east here. That's about 15 miles ahead of the storm. So 9:11 I'm going to do another. See if I can. Okay, so got that information out. I mean, you're seeing lightning 10, 15 miles ahead of these storms, which is concerning. A lot of high school football, it's the 8, 9, 10 mile rule for different stadiums in there. So any type of information we can get out about these electric storms that are carrying off to these, that's going to be something that really catches our attention. Okay, I'm just kind of checking the data feed here, see if we've got 2 miles southeast of Forsyth. There was 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts reported, and they have issued. I have not made any direct mention of the northern part of that storm. Let's see here. Okay. So the lightning there, you can kind of tell there's still going to be rain and storms in between it. And it seems like it's been filling in almost a little bit more kind of there once it got through the Maroa area. And that, honestly, to tell you the honest truth, you see how it kind of looked, if I can, it kind of looked like it weakened there. I think that's the contamination from the wind turbine. I don't think it ever weakened. So it's kind of strengthening now. So that might be a sign to fill in the gap to the east there into Piatt County. So, we're going to keep this digital coverage here. We look ahead. First off, I'm not able to see any comments right now on all of them. What I need to do, actually, in order to do that, I'm going to disconnect real quick. I'm going to leave up the graphics a little wide. Look at that lightning strike well out by Fisher. I mean, that's way ahead of the storm. I'm going to jump onto the stream PC and just kind of check to see if anyone's got any reports or comments and whatnot. Lots of folks asking about certain areas that this is heading. And somebody asked about the Gibson City camera. That one faces north and west. I don't have a way to check that camera, unfortunately. So it's not going to give us a great view. The Champaign one's going to be the better one for this. Mahomet's full of the Visitors Festival. Yeah, that's true. The Mahomet Festival is pretty important to note here that's going on. So I saw somebody comment about that. Really concerned about Mahomet with at least the lightning threats. They'll probably be cutting out here in a bit. So. Yeah, it's interesting to see. You can actually see the gust front kind of sticking out of the line a little bit, that leading edge of the storms. Worst of the wind, go to sweeping through Moultrie County. So that's going to be, Sarah Gordo, Hammond, Atwood, Dalton City, Lovington, Bethany, Sullivan, Arthur, Chesterville, eventually Arcola, Humboldt, Dorrans, and that would probably carry into the Mattoon, if not the Charleston area. Our Charleston camera faces north. Our Mattoon camera faces more to the west. We've got the Champaign cameras pointed west and north. I might take this. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the studio camera and leave it where it is, but I'm going to take the stadium camera and turn it more south so we can kind of get a little vantage points, I think. So if you see that, you're looking at those bright lights off in the distance. That is Prospect Avenue. That's the Neal Street is right below it. Prospect Avenue then is off in the distance in northwest Champaign. It'll turn a little bit more to the north and west instead of north-northwest. Then for the stadium, I'm going to turn that a little more south and see how the lightning show looks for those particular storms. So we're looking at Memorial Stadium. We'll kind of pivot that back. In fact, they have extended the severe thunderstorm watch for parts of Champaign County. So that's interesting to see where that has happened. So now we got this, you're looking at the studio. The stadium camera now is facing more south and west towards the southern complex of storms it's heading on through. We'll go to Mattoon real quick. First off, I'll bring Decatur back up. That's been giving us a good show in recent times. Still pretty intense out there, but certainly it's moving off more to the east. Those storms are east and south of these. I'll turn it more east so it's looking towards the ADM plant from downtown. It'll be the back side of the storm, but still we'll have a pretty light show from that as we turn it there. It looks like the worst now is past, and I would agree based on radar for that. How about we'll just bring the Gibson City camera up just so we can see. So this one actually looks more to the north and west. So a lot of the lightning is going to be basically that street there that kind of goes from center screen to the left part of the screen. That's a west road. And so most of the good view is going to be south of that, to the left of that. You're still seeing some lightning there, but not as much as, and we wish we could turn some of these cameras. Some of these cameras are locked in place, unfortunately. Mattoon, want to check that out real quick? Mattoon camera there. You'll see most of the lightning's going to be kind of off to the west. I don't have the ability to turn this one, but I think the better view is going to be more to the north. So I haven't seen much in that one. Charleston's looking north. Well, you can see a little flash there, Mattoon, before I switched it. Charleston is looking more north, so we probably will catch the ambience of the lightning, the reflection of that, not actually direct view. So our best choice is now going to be Champaign, and I'll pop the studio camera back on for that northern storm, and then the southern storm is the stadium camera, and we're seeing that as it comes on in. Okay, looks like we got an update to that severe thunderstorm watch. Whoop, that's not right. Wrong one. Let me see here. How about this one? This one should cover my butt. Maybe. But there it goes. Yeah, so severe thunderstorm watch has been extended into Champaign and Vermilion counties. And so that's something to note with the extension of that watch. You can see the severe thunderstorm warnings, southern McLean and DeWitt counties. That one should expire at 9:30. If we don't get any reports, that's something to watch. And then the southern storm, they're coming out of Decatur into Sullivan. That's the more impressive one. That certainly has got a lot of wind with it. Could have some 70+ mile-an-hour winds before all is said and done. Then you see it's filling on in. Somebody said, oh, it's going to be Tuscola. You said it out loud, and Mother Nature heard you. So it's kind of filling on in there. Certainly a lot of wind in that storm. That's some pretty intense wind there. Lovington, Sullivan. And the wind may be delayed behind that shelf cloud as well. So it looks like in the LaPlace area, 72 mile-an-hour gust possibly sneaking on through. We'll get another update. That's a 77 mile-an-hour gust. I would be surprised if we're not having some pretty intense wind out of this storm. And that's a little higher up, but real concern for Moultrie, southwestern Douglas, Coles County in particular, with these storms as they continue off to the south and to the east here with that storm. So that's going to be the biggest problem is kind of that area. They're going to come right into Sullivan, be Arcola. I might do a little social media post here with this particular warning. Somebody asked about tornado activity. I am not worried about that at this point. We'll keep an eye on it. Sometimes with these lines interacting, a little brief areas, they're kind of like, what's that doing? But I don't see anything at this point that makes me too worried about that, which is some good news. So that's going to be good for us here. Okay, 9:21 p.m. So we're for Moultrie, south. Okay, greatest concern for 70 mile per hour or potentially even higher wind gusts is for Moultrie, southwest Douglas, and Coles County. Intense line of storms is coming through. Intense line of storms coming through 10:15 with tons of lightning as well. I'm going to put that online. Get that tweeted. Okay, got that pushed out. That's some good news. Okay. Just getting some new info in here, and let me check the National Weather Service for their sources. They're going to go ahead and expire the severe thunderstorm warning for McLean and DeWitt counties. Still think there's going to be some lightning. There's still going to be a good show coming into Champaign County soon. The worst of the wind, though, really to me seems like Moultrie County heads on, and then southwestern Douglas, and then Coles County, the way this is moving here. Kind of checking to see that big surge of wind. So that's going to be where we have to watch. I don't see anything, that northern storm's got a lot of lightning. And I know we've got high school football games that are going on. That's not great for games coming here into Champaign County. So I'm sure our sports team is really stressed out right now because they've got a lot of games that are going on. You got these storms moving south out of Decatur. Really, I think this southern batch is going to be the greatest concern. And then it does appear, interestingly enough, that there are some storms kind of popping back up out in western Illinois. I'm just going to kind of loop and see what they're doing here. They're just kind of firing up there. So we'll see. That might be some of the night event as it sneaks on through. And even still, I think there's some wind coming into Shelbyville, probably Pana as well, even though the storm's further out. Kind of switch through some of my sources and whatnot. There's probably been some breezes as far west as Payne and even beyond that from the outflow from the storm. So that's certainly something worth watching here. Just kind of checking some other data. I'm trying to figure out what that little bluish thing is. I don't think it's a hail. It's just kind of looks like it's some light sprinkles from the overshooting top and the storm kind of pivoting out there. And I'm just kind of glancing through my products here. In a few minutes, I'll be able to go back into the studio and we'll have Seth join back on in. Let me see here if I can pop on my, I'm looking for a specific product. I thought I had, that's it. Nope, that's not it. If you're interested in storm heights, just kind of see some of these storms are pretty high up there. It's not what I was looking for, but I was hoping to find something else. You're going to see the radar kind of glitch for a second here. It's going to look a little different. I'm just kind of, I want to check some data to make sure. Oh, I've done something. Okay, so I got that. Just what I wanted to do here real fast is just check data, so bear with me. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Sometimes it happens. Okay. So let's see what I was thinking I was seeing there. Yeah, that leading edge of wind is just kind of blowing through. Really, Moultrie County is just getting hit in the head right now with things. I'm very curious about Sullivan, Hammond, Atwood, Lovington. Big core wind pushing on through, which is pretty intense to see with that. So if there's any reports from those areas, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect real quick. And I think we're going to have to be able to go back in the studio here in a second. So I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to just check the chat real quick on a different computer. Atwood is very windy, just really windy in Sullivan. I'm not surprised by that here. That wind is probably at least 50 mile an hour in some of those areas. So that certainly is a concern as we continue to move on through. So with that, still going to be lightning in Champaign County. Less concerned about the wind. It's not as colorful. There's still some breezes in Monticello down towards Beement, Voorhees Castle, southern part of the county there. But the strongest wind, those brightest colors are. If I take an area average, just kind of sample that little section in Moultrie County, the wind tells me here, well, it doesn't tell me anything for whatever reason. There we go. So there could be some 70-plus mile an hour winds in there. Have not had any reports of damage, thankfully. And just kind of checking the power outage numbers. There's a few outages in Douglas County. That's nothing new. Macon County's got a handful. Piatt County, there's some. But so far, there's been more bark than bite with these storms as they continue off to the east. So that's something that perhaps is some good news for us here. All right, I'm going to reset. I'm going to go back into the studio. That's where we got Seth in there as well, and we'll kind of leave this up for a second, and so you'll kind of hear me shuffling around and whatnot. We are. I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to head back to the studio. We just finished the show on WCIX at 9, and so that's good news for us. We will continue to keep the digital coverage going, even if it's 10 o'clock. I'll probably just step back and keep on digital and keep things going while they're on the show, so you get two different sources of info here. So they're still on the show barely. Yeah, there's a new out time. Okay, and they are off. Good. Figured I'd just come back in the studio since you're done. They just finished the show. Boy, that forecast next couple of days looks pretty nice.
I would agree.
70s and 80s, peace and quiet, without the heat. So Seth will have that full forecast update for you coming up at 10 o'clock again. All right, I'm going to mic you up again if you want. So Seth, your mic's back on. Welcome back, Seth.
I am back. Thank you for letting me back in.
Yeah, I just kind of sat in the weather office and kept digital going. So far, I have not seen really substantial reports of wind or anything like that. I don't know if you've had anything in the chat. I kind of peeked on there. They seem to have more bark than bite.
Yeah, I haven't seen or heard anyone say anything significant. It looks pretty impressive on velocity. There's like 70 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, 70, 75, but
not quite getting down to the surface because we haven't heard any kind of indication of something of that strength causing any damage, and the Weather Service has not either. Kind of inquired about that to see what their thoughts were on maybe putting that 70 mile an hour tag on it, but no dice on that, and it kind of looks like it will remain that way, at least here in the short term. But that northern storm now, without the warning, that one's kind of jumped into the blob of rain up there more so than anything here at this point. A little gusty up that way, but obviously not enough to continue the warning up on that northern one anymore.
Yeah, when we look at the southern storm here, what sticks out to me is that little faint line showing up.
Yep.
That's the outflow boundary, so they're outflow dominant here. They're really blowing ahead. I had a lot of folks say, hey, it's getting windy, and I've had Sullivan report wind. Hammond area, Lovington, I've seen some reports up there. This batch moving on through. The lightning's been pretty impressive. Well, I kind of walked through the studio on my way, or the newsroom on my way back here, and sports department, Larry looked a little, what's the words? Stressed.
Stressed.
They're trying to get football games off, and things are being postponed and canceled and delayed, and some places were delayed and some places weren't. But a lot of lightning. There's been a lot of positive lightning strikes as well, with this, a sign of stronger storms. Usually you've got negative strikes, but those positive strikes are the ones that sometimes come with some oomph. I got that the right way, don't I?
Those are the ones, yeah.
The
ones are, the ones
I always
you
question
watch out
myself.
for a little more. Yeah, it's kind of confusing going back and forth between this, but positive, generally kind of a stronger connotation to it. That's the way I remember it anyway. But the lightning is obviously played a big factor there earlier on. Now we're starting to really get some of those gusts too. Not that the lightning's not playing a factor, but at this stage in the game, with 9:30 now, football games have probably already done whatever they anticipated to do at this point. And right now we're just kind of living with what's blowing overhead here. And in that case, that 60 mile an hour wind is starting to pass on through the Sullivan area. And as you said, you can see that little gust front out ahead of it, just that thin little line out ahead of things. I'm going to freeze what we have right here on our radar image, and I'm going to pull up our velocity here real quick, and you'll just see, I'll put the arrow there just so you can see it. This is kind of the leading edge of our rain. And when I flip things over here to velocity, is not, oh, I guess the arrow disappears. It was right about there, so that's not the leading edge of your winds there. So when these things become a little more outflow dominant, that means they're kind of, the winds are outrunning the storm, and that means it's not going to exactly kind of fuel it.
I'm going to go outside and look and see if we're seeing any lightning
Okay,
too.
yeah.
I've been seeing some videos and stuff, and I'm like, I want to go see it myself.
On the ground view of what's going on, and yeah, good call, muting the mic there so that way we don't hear any kind of gusts just blaring into the microphone. But Jake's going to walk outside into the WCIA 3 parking lot and just kind of give us a little heads up on what he's either seeing or feeling out that way. But as I was alluding to, this blue arrow here, it's kind of where the leading edge of the rain is, but the leading edge of the gusts are kind of out ahead of it there a little bit. So that would suggest that the wind is kind of outrunning the storm. And that usually leads to things quieting down a little bit, but that could take some time too because it's not that far out ahead of the storm. So it could definitely kind of continue to fuel things and kind of ingest some of that energy to keep things really firing up. So next in line now, I'm not sure where Jacob left off there in his stream, but as I was saying on the 9 o'clock show, next in line, I-57 area, kind of just watching. Champaign's going to get a storm, nothing severe with that. We're going to have to watch the Arcola, Tuscola areas. They might kind of catch the edge of this, probably Arcola more so than Tuscola. But then that's when things start to get into the Coles County region, the Mattoon, Charleston direction. That'll be the kind of next big, higher populated place that has a pretty decent shot at seeing some of these winds kind of kick on in. So 60-mile-an-hour winds at the surface, although the radar image would suggest somewhere near 70. We're obviously much farther away from the Lincoln radar than what we once were, so we're looking higher up into the air. The farther away from the radar you get, that angle over time goes higher and higher and higher into the air. So you're still seeing strong gusts near the ground, but not at the ground, and that is the key thing here at the moment. So I'm going to kind of take a look, I'm going to kind of take a tour of the sky cams here to see if anything's going on. Mattoon, not much happening that direction. This is one camera that is fixed. I cannot move this one, unfortunately. I would love to kind of move things around there to get the best shot, but we're looking there at the dealership in town. Charleston obviously won't be seeing anything if Mattoon is not seeing anything here. That storm has now well left the Decatur area. Let's just take a look. I'm going to look at the Memorial Stadium camera. Maybe we'll see some lightning out that way, but not looking too active here at the moment. And it sounds like I hear in the background Jacob walking back in here. I'm not sure if he saw or heard anything really of significance there, but on my sky cam, I can't really see much going on here looking west from Memorial Stadium. Jacob, would you concur, or did you see anything out there?
Oh, I could hear some of the rumbles off in the distance.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of high school football games in the area here in Champaign County. I think in town here and some of the surrounding towns, and I bet they are
getting ready, batten down the hatches anyway.
They're probably done by now, at least suspended until the storms pass on by. So that's something worth mentioning. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of good video and stuff too out of the lightning from across the area. It's pretty. You feel the humidity and you can see that lightning, and it makes sense. It's muggy, and we gotta pay for the nicer weather. And tonight with these storms coming through is the way we're doing it.
Yeah, that's the only way. That's our kind of our ticket there to the nicer weather. It's going to feel good when it's here, but still a little bit of work to go. I mentioned that watch is in effect until midnight tonight, and obviously they're peeling off counties one by one as that line moves on through. But they did expand that. I must have missed that there. They did kind of expand it just a little to the north. Looks like they got Champaign and Vermilion in there as well. So we'll kind of just keep an eye on things. This should be done here in about a couple hours, maybe 2.5, 3 hours. So not much longer to go there with this, but still obviously enough of a storm here to still kind of keep your eyebrows raised and just watch out for, as this one is set to go here in Mattoon before too long, and obviously soon after Charleston. Arcola probably picking up the gusts there right now as that gust front really starts to kind of hit the edge of town there. Same with Tuscola. So anybody on 57 might want to prepare there for a little bit of a jolt of wind. Hopefully nobody on there to a point where they can't just kind of get off to the side or take an exit there, because things are going to get pretty windy pretty quickly there. Obviously on the interstate, lightning not as big of a concern, more so the wind kind of knocking you off the road there. So certainly be careful if you're out on the road here tonight. And just one thing I noticed here, just looking at the radar, a little bit of redevelopment now kind of on the southwestern edge here of this storm. Kind of looks like maybe Shelbyville might get just a tiny corner of this as it moves on in, but looks more towards the Hinton area and more towards Yantisville, on its way there to Findlay as well. So kind of a thin little band there of maybe just some brief gusts and some heavy rain that direction. But this thing has really started to congeal into a pretty, moderate-sized little storm cluster here. Still not catching a bunch of the area with a severe threat. That warning is big, and it's big for a reason, because there is some pretty widespread gusts here. As this one starts to bow out a little bit, starts to get the gusts out ahead of it. As Jacob mentioned earlier, I'll put the little pointer there. That right there is your little gust front. That's where the beginning of the winds, I should say. Not necessarily the strongest winds, but that's where the beginning of the winds are. And as those get ahead and ahead of the storm kind of gets disconnected from it, and there's less being fed into it there to make some of that action continue on there. So we're still keeping an eye on things here on radar, keeping an eye on things here in the chat. Overall, the threat obviously is still there, but we've kind of now made things a little more concise and across just that one portion of the storm, as opposed to watching things kind of split into a fork there, watching the one on the north and the south with not much there in the middle. So things getting pretty intense there as they roll on out of Piatt and Moultrie counties, and now all of a sudden it's time for those I-57 counties to get ready for the show to happen here. We're limited with our camera usage in Coles County because those are some fixed cameras. We have a little bit of flexibility here in Champaign as we have a pair of cameras that can look around at things. But until the storms get there into Mattoon and Charleston, it looks like we're probably out of luck as far as seeing what goes on in town there. Maybe we briefly catch something for a moment. I know they're facing at a decent enough angle to kind of catch things just briefly before they get to town. But the Champaign cam, probably our best bet. And I'll turn on the studio cam and just kind of look a little to the southwest, and you'll see a generally high concentration of lightning there. I've got the, same principle applies there. That is the Memorial Stadium camera, though. Let's flip things over to the studio camera and see probably a very similar look. I'm taking a look there out to the west, atop all the trees there on the western half of town. And, not as high volume of lightning, obviously, as some other parts of town because, or I should say other parts of the area, as this northern one just not packing the same kind of punch as what we're seeing down to the south. We'll go ahead and click on our lightning, though. We'll keep things still here for a moment so we can just kind of gather where everything's at. We'll flick on our lightning there. And overall, the concentrations come down, and I might stand corrected. Maybe west of Champaign is where some of the highest lightning concentration is, but compared to what we saw earlier, I'm going to back this up a few hours. This is what we were looking at earlier. We'll drag things ahead here just a little bit. Look at the concentration there of those lightning bolts. That was pretty high, and it meant business there for a little bit. Now, as we've moved along there, the number of bolts has started to come down there just a little bit. So now a little less of a concern there for any kind of lightning activity, but obviously if you're outside, one bolt is all it takes there to kind of both wake you up and cause reason for a little bit of concern. Also, anybody that might be tuned in from our Indiana counties, not to be forgotten, a couple pop-up storms out that direction as well. So across the state line, things ramping up here just a little bit. I'm going to put these in motion here just to see what's going on, because these are, these have really blown up here in the last 30 minutes or so. So things getting pretty intense outside of Rockville as far as the lightning goes. Probably not a whole lot going on just yet as these storms are pretty fresh, but yeah, this is 100% storms that we're going to have to watch and see what they do. Obviously, that's not going to stick too long into the area, but yeah, that's a pair of storms there affecting some of our folks watching over in Indiana. But here is the main system as it gets ready to cross the interstate there. We'll get some of the town names out of the way so you can just watch that move on through, and I will peek at the Mattoon/Charleston cameras there just to see if anything is going on.
You know, it looks like the wind may be picking up a little bit in southern Champaign County as well.
Yeah,
by Ivesdale. And then I've been getting some reports kind of filtered in. We've got some reports of trees down in Sangamon and Macon County, Sangamon County, and parts of southwestern Logan County, the Dawson, Riverton area, and then off towards Buffalo, Mechanics. We're kind of in that area. Spalding, there's been some reports coming in. We also have a power power outage with some lines down in West Decatur, and I had some tree branches down in that area as well. Some viewer messages that I've gotten, viewer reports that have come on in. So there's some wind.
Yeah, not
with
too
that.
surprising because that's what it looked like earlier. Just kind of back things up to about 8:30 or so there. That's when things really.
There's that little downburst signature
Yeah.
there that kind of popped
That's
up.
when it let loose. Yeah, just right there around the kind of the triangle between
couple of them.
Sherman, Springfield, Mechanicsburg. And
So, and then I think we should probably get the Matt Tootin camera. That's gonna be
Yep, kind of keep an eye on it. I don't see much yet, but that will not.
that
be
leading
the case
edge
in a
is
couple minutes.
right on top of town here. So I think I'm gonna put all that on mine and
Oh,
keep
yeah,
an eye.
that's really-
It faces a little more south, I guess.
I believe so too. I think that's kind of on the northern.
Just slightly there. The Charleston one faces north. I think we'll get a good view from
Yes,
that.
that one faces north with a little bit of a peak to the west there. I do know that one.
So
We'll see what we can see, but yeah, I mean, you can obviously just see it here on radar too. You know what's coming. It's going to be some pretty intense winds there for a little bit and plenty of lightning. Obviously some heavy rain too. Pretty decent rainfall here. I wouldn't say this is too much at all. Things are moving at a good enough pace to where flash flooding is not a high concern. But, oh, here we go. Jody just said lightning just hit our tree in Sullivan. Is that right in your yard there, Jody? That would be a little bit of a sight to startle anybody there.
you know, I was thinking for a minute. I thought, we got the tower right outside the studio with the
Yeah,
frequent lightning. Sometimes that thing gets a little. Ooh.
Attract some things.
Use a wireless mouse and don't touch anything metal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll happen. I'm not surprised. I'm sure we'll get a good. I guess couple of photos from that tomorrow.
Yep. I would.
When the sun comes up. The other thing is sometimes when those trees get struck, sometimes if it strikes it right, you can get that fire in the inside of them. It can be pretty impressive to see there.
Yeah,
So
kind of shield it from the rain there a little bit too. Yeah, that's always scary stuff. To quote Jody, yeah, scared the crap out of us. I would exactly put it that way as well. I've had a couple just kind of strike outside either the studio or out in my yard, and it is enough to kind of just jolt you away from the window for a second, just kind of gather yourself. Lightning concentration has come down a good deal, but Jody just said right outside Sullivan. That's kind of where things look to be the highest concentrated there, around Sullivan, Arthur, Lovington, that direction towards our Moultrie County folks in that way. Look to the north, though. Not much lightning happening in central or northern Piatt County, kind of where things are a little quieter. But yeah, kind of getting ready to head right up 72 here into Champaign. We've got a decent little concentration of lightning there. But not severe warned of this way. It is down to the south and just
Monticello's getting a ton of lightning there.
yeah, it's picking up pretty good here.
Yeah, I did turn the studio camera a little bit more south and west
Okay.
to try and catch a little bit, and the stadium camera, and then that's what I got now, and then the studio camera.
Let's check out the stadium while you're moving around the. So yeah, there we go. Kind of
The studio camera is facing a little bit more. I guess that got moved a little more west and slightly south now to account for that as well. So they kind of earlier they're facing more northwest, but with this.
Stephanie says hitting Matt Tune right now, so let's get things switched over to there and check out what's going on. Maybe it's catching part of town. Nothing happening on our camera yet. Doesn't mean that it's not there in town, though. Obviously, this one kind of right up the road there on the way into Mattoon. Oh, there we go. Just a little bit of wind sweeping across the road there. I just saw either a little bit of dust. I could see just it kind of faintly moving over the road just a second ago. That wasn't rain or anything, but definitely something moving in the wind and some trash there on the road. So a little bit of a brief gust there. I'm just going to kind of keep things tuned here and just maybe we can watch this thing as it kind of barrels on in. But definitely seeing, I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Some faint dust kind of blowing around there. So wind is picking up here just a little bit already, and we'll see what happens.
Really think Pasodum, Villa Grove, Tuscola. That's probably another spot going to get some intense wind.
Get one last little peek there in Mattoon. Now I'll drop back over to radar just to watch where these things are heading. We'll keep these things still for a moment. Just see the latest scans. Looks like, yeah, Savoy and the airport there in Willard, Chelona, Pasodum, those places right along the interstate right now are the ones feeling the punch here. Champaign might just get a little bit of kind of some light rain, maybe a little bit of lightning action up here, but bulk of the action is happening down to our south. Our friends in Tuscola, Arcola, feeling the punch here right now from the strong winds, and now the rain getting ready to barrel on down just on the edge of Mattoon there. Cooks Mills feeling the rain, probably the wind here at this point as well. And Matt Toon, obviously, probably feeling the rain here at this point, too. And I just noticed they kind of reworked that severe thunderstorm warning just a little bit now to include that little chunk there in Shelby County that is kind of tailed off on the end of this storm. There's a little bit of redevelopment is happening out that direction. Just peek over, oh, wow, yeah, peek over there in the Indiana region shows some pretty nice storms kind of popping up there. I know that's a little bit starting to get out of our region, but anybody kind of watching that direction, man. There's some decent storms firing up there.
Have you seen any reports at all from the Champaign County area on the chat, Southwest?
I have not seen anything more than just.
Yeah, we find out in maybe Sedora Ives, though, where that's sitting on top of.
Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of take a look here. Jeff said lots of wind and rain in Tuscola. That was about 3 minutes ago. Eric says trying to send some video. I'm not sure where Eric is at, but you might keep an eye there on your messages to see if anything's coming in from there. Let's see. Light show in Seymour. Some wind coming in too, so no, nothing super recent here as far as reports in the chat. Or here we go. Alfonso says wind and rain came into Arcola quickly, but not a hard rain. Eric's in Monticello, so he might be trying to send you video from Monticello there. But yeah, we're watching as the gusts now start to take over and the light show really starts to begin here for the folks along I-57. And let's take a peek in Champaign, looking south at where the bulk of that action is. We'll pop back up on the stadium cam here and we'll get things flipped over to that. Probably not seeing a ton. Yeah, seeing a little bit of lightning there, but obviously not going to get a big kind of windstorm up here in Champaign. Just not looking quite as likely here in downtown. But yes, the Savoy, the Sedora, Ivesdale, those kind of areas, Pasodum, definitely be on high alert there. Things could be a little windy and pretty bright here for a bit. Boomer says raining cats and dogs here in Rantoul. Brittany says bunch of lightning in Fisher at the moment. Doesn't look like any rain though. Let's see. Wind in Champaign, says Stephanie. Pouring into Lono, says Heather. So keep up the reports, everybody. It's always nice to know.
Did you say you had anything from Sedora's area?
I have not. I mentioned something about Gus probably getting ready to, or things starting to pick up in Sedoris, but
I'm going to turn the Champaign. I'm going to turn one of the cameras to Champaign due south. Which one can I do that to? You want me to take the stadium one?
You can take either one. I'm looking at the stadium one right now, but feel free to still move it.
You want me to take the studio one and aim it south?
Yeah, I mean you can.
Okay.
I've kept both in place, so whichever one you need.
Okay, I'm just interested in down by Willard Airport now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get the airport observations pulled up here in case it has anything of significance.
It may just be just south, but it's still interesting enough to me where I kind of look at that and I go,
Nothing crazy as far as wind reports, obviously. Yeah, but yeah, visibility has dropped down to less than 2 miles there at the airport. Not hard to believe with rain getting ready to roll.
Things are certainly trending in the intensifying direction. And the trend is your friend sometimes, where you kind of, hey, it's been strengthening. You just assume it will keep strengthening until it doesn't, I suppose.
So now things are crossing the interstate and now heading on the eastern half of both Champaign and Douglas counties, now starting to kind of enter on in officially into Coles County there. And as I've said before, not to be forgotten, that little appendage there in Shelby County, kind of the Shelbyville-Windsor direction. Let's see. I'm going to take a quick peek again off screen at the Matt Toon camera and see if anything's going on just yet. But it looks like I would bet against anything being visible on camera just yet. And it looks like the sidewalks may be getting just a little wet here, but I'm not seeing much happening as far as any kind of wind or any kind of big-time stormy look there in town. I'll go ahead and pop it up here anyway just so you can see for yourselves. But nothing just yet, just on the northwest side of town, about ready to head on in there in just moments, so maybe we'll check on in. Actually, now that I squint a little bit, okay, now I can see it obviously a lot better. There's some rain you can see on the street lights there, so raining a little bit there in town, but nothing too crazy just yet. So we'll peek back at that here in just a minute or so, because that will probably change here in a matter of just a few minutes, but we'll get the big picture here again. Take the lightning.
Interestingly enough, with that surge south of Champaign, I have not seen a lot of lightning.
No, yeah, it's just, I've kind of, kept an eye on those cams. It's been a little underwhelming as far as lightning, and it kind of looks like southern Champaign's kind of a a blind spot there for lightning. A lot of it's kind of more due west.
There's a new severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, they have now gotten the northern half back in the action there. That one is a pretty hefty looking warning there. That one extends all the way out to the state line. So we have got severe weather to track here probably until about, we'll see when this one expires here, but probably till about 10 or 10:30. This one, yep, till 10:45. So now we've got a warning in effect here for the next hour at least. So now places in the path include the Georgetown area, getting up into the Edgar County region as well, kind of around the Paris direction, around Chrisman. So anybody there in the path of these boxes now getting ready to feel the impacts here of some of the storms. The lightning has died down a little bit, so maybe you won't get as much of a scattering report from a distance. You'll see enough of it, though, to see what's going on. And I don't believe, yes, I believe those are some older flashes of lightning, but I'm not sure. If this is, it looks like there's some lightning bolts. Either that looks like
Coming off that other storm in the back
coming
there,
off
yeah.
the other storm there. I'm thinking like, no, man, these are counties over. But yeah, I forgot about those other storms over there. Probably having some more lightning expand a little bit to the west of them. They kind of threw me for a loop there for just a moment. But yeah, so the big warning now extended out there towards the state line. We'll be keeping an eye on that one for the next hour now. Got some folks reminding me to check in on Mattoon again, as it looks like they are starting to pick up things just a little bit. Not any kind of trees to look at here on the Mattoon cameras. Probably why it looks like there's nothing crazy going on. You can see the rain obviously passing through the light posts there. But here at the moment, it doesn't look like the main part of the storm here is on our Mattoon camera anyway. We will watch to see how that changes, as really looks like things are going to get a little more action-filled there in Mattoon in just a moment. We've got Lori saying it's windy in Charleston right now as well. Not too surprising there, as the gusts are just out a little bit ahead of the storm here. If you are kind of just jumping in again, just kind of take a look at a broad overview here of our storms that started up there kind of around the Lincoln and kind of around the Springfield areas, and have since made it all the way out here to I-57, moving at a decent pace here. And now we've got another warning issued just about a minute or so ago. Now that carries over into Vermilion and Edgar counties as well. So places will have to be, places in those counties will have to keep in mind some 60-mile-an-hour gusts that are on that way. So now we're kind of back in two storm mode here as far as which parts of the storm we're looking at. Kind of pretty much the entire system now under a warning, except Champaign. We're missing out here just a little bit to the north. Probably going to get some rain here in just a moment, but this is more of a kind of a problem out there towards southeastern Champaign County, maybe closer to Philo and Broadlands out that direction. Newman probably getting in on the action here before too long, but there's that gust front again. You mentioned Lori said gusts picking up in Charleston. The wind's out ahead of the storm lagging behind by a couple of minutes there. So you'll feel the wind. Obviously you'll see the lightning first, but you'll feel the wind before you see the rain. And then everything kind of comes together there just a little bit of timekeeping here. We are 5 minutes away from the 10 o'clock news. So we're going to have to keep things a little bit quiet here on the stream. As we
You have to send me back to the office.
You're going to go back to okay, so Jake will keep things picked up back over in the weather office. That's how we'll handle things here. So in just a couple of minutes, I'll probably hand things over to him, and he'll carry you through till 10:30, and we'll rendezvous back here and take a look at how things are shaping up here in the area. But we knew, obviously, football happening tonight. There was going to be a couple issues, and it's kind of come to fruition here as we are now approaching the 10 o'clock hour. So you kind of
all right, well, I'll go ahead and just take over and run the show here. Just very interested in the Villa Grove area in particular right now. Kind of where those two storms are merging together a little bit. Certainly a lot of wind coming in now to that area. So with that, I'm going to retreat. And actually what I will do is we're going to kind of mute. Okay, there we go. So I'm actually going to take about 2 minutes off, and then I will return. So we'll be back in about 2-3 minutes ago. Seth, you're off now.
Okay.
So it's just my mic. So I'm going to walk through. I'm going to mute my mic real fast because. And it is muted. It is not muted. The mute doesn't work on these, does it? I'll be right back. Should be getting back online. It's 10 o'clock right now. If you can watch on Channel 3, you're watching a different feed than what's now. I'm Jacob Dickey, bringing you extended coverage behind the scenes there. You're looking at radar. And we continue to watch these storms as they are moving through the area. So, if someone happens to hear my feed, let me see here. Oh no, it works out well. But I do think that I have the wrong. I do have the wrong one. That's fine. Cool. So we got this storm. Now the warning now for Douglas, Edgar, Vermilion, and Champaign counties will continue, and this is going to go pretty much. In fact, there's a new warning for Champaign City. They just issued on the north side now. New severe thunderstorm warnings include the I-74 corridor, kind of an extension to the north with that particular storm. And that, I'm going to be curious if they're seeing, they're just issuing it for the wind, it seems, at this point. So the now Champaign-Urbana area now included in that severe thunderstorm warning that's over Mahomet as it drifts to the south here. A pretty impressive look to it. And let me just check the chat to see their thoughts on things. So far, we've had a 49 mile-an-hour gust in Champaign, 54 mile-an-hour gust at Mattoon. So we had a 49 mile-an-hour gust at Champaign, 54 in Mattoon. The strongest wind is going to be really south of Willard Airport. It's going to be through Douglas County, even parts of northern Coles County. There might be a reissuance of the warning for parts of Coles and then into the down into southern Edgar and maybe Clark County here. So let's go ahead and flip the cameras on real fast. You can see the storm coming into Champaign. We're going to play the sky cam game here real fast to kind of watch things. And so that's looking south now from Champaign. I'll turn this back to the north. We'll first look more west. That's more to the west there and kind of off in the distance as that camera turns. It'll take it a little time. we're kind of seeing the storm roll on in. So that's going to be out southwest Champaign. And some pretty impressive lightning with it. It's flashing on by. And then we'll go a little more north and west with this. You see that lowering, that leading edge coming in from the storm that's off by Mahomet, where that new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for, including Mahomet. And coming into Champaign, Thomasboro, Royal, Ogden, Homer. Going to be some strong winds. Swinging on through. So with that, let me get a post out here. Champaign County, we're kind of watching these cameras. I'm going to go switch it real fast. How about we get the, let's get the Mattoon and the Charleston camera in. Mattoon had a wind gust reported at 54 miles an hour. There it is now, some good wind. Time now is 10:03 p.m. Okay, so got that. That's the look at Mattoon. How about we go to Charleston? Storm not quite to Charleston yet, but it's that Charleston camera is going to be facing north. The surge has been coming out through Douglas County from that. So we'll see. There it is. It looks like it has reached Charleston now. Plenty of rain and wind out there, swinging on through, and I'm sure we're getting some torrential lightning as well with this. So that storm now, Champaign-Urbana points to the east. That storm really intensifying over between Mahomet and Thomasboro now, coming into the city of Champaign. And big surge coming in now. Oakland, Brockton, Newman from that storm. That's looking north there from the Mattoon Charleston camera. And then I'm just going to pull the Danville camera out. The Danville probably going to get the northern edge of this storm here. That's something we have to keep an eye on. And we'll get that Danville camera here in a second. I'm just going to keep my eye on a few things. I want to watch velocity closely here and see if we can't see some of the wind perhaps swinging on through. So we'll kind of loop it. It looks like the strongest wind is more to the south, but with that big pulse upwards, there's going to be some wind and perhaps a downburst potential that comes into the Champaign-Urbana area. You can kind of see where those greens and reds are. That to me looks more like a downburst signature than it does a tornado signature. That'll be right along in north of I-74, be coming through the northern part of Champaign, north part of Urbana, where we could see some of that 60-mile-an-hour wind gust potential coming on through. So really going to keep an eye on that. And then that big blast of wind coming in through parts of Douglas, Champaign County. You can see here what's happened is you kind of see this backward C shape. That's a really terrible drawing there. This backward C shape, kind of an indication where the wind is blowing out from that storm. Now on the north edge, sometimes we get these areas of turbulence that can happen. And what's happened here in Champaign is I think we've seen this cell really intensify over Mahomet. And as it's done so then, it's allowed for perhaps some downburst wind potential. There's a lot of mass, a lot of water up high, and when that water drops, that's going to then swing down and come crashing down to the earth and could bring some 60-mile-an-hour plus wind gust here into parts of the Champaign-Urbana area. So that certainly is a concern for us as we move on through. So, a lot of football game delays. Got a report of 1.8 inches of rain in Lake Decatur area, an inch of rain, some limbs down in Wapella. Mason area got hit hard this afternoon. Those are some of the initial reports that we're getting in here. Let's see here. Kind of keep an eye on all this here. One thing we do have to watch, so if you kind of watch where these storms are heading, they're swinging south and east. They kind of follow those cluster of storms that's in Indiana, northeast of Terre Haute there is I think where they're going to head. I do see some storms trying to redevelop in the backside. I'm not too concerned about those. This to me seems like it is going to be the main event. Wind, the biggest concern. The threat for hail is there. And I'll pull up the hail size real quick and we'll kind of see. There might be some pea to dime size hail maybe out of this. I haven't seen any indications of big hail per se in recent moments out of these storms. Lightning certainly has been posting up. A lot of electric storm, big pulse of lightning south of Champaign. This storm that's between Mahomet and Champaign really has some intense lightning with it, pretty consistent lightning as well. So that's going to be something else where we see that sneak on through. That's why that new severe thunderstorm warning was issued for central Champaign, western Vermilion County. And then we got the severe thunderstorm warning for Douglas, southern Champaign, southern Vermilion, and northern Edgar counties. That will be in place here as well. And I'll pop on some of the data here to give us an idea of the timing of them. I believe the big warning, the southern one, that includes Edgar and Vermilion, that's going to go until 10:40. They're both going to go to 10:45 here. So about a little over 30 more minutes on these warnings, and we might see an extension depending on how long they last. But that's going to be something that really comes through the warned areas over the next 30 minutes or so. Okay, just checking some data here from the National Weather Service. I have not seen any new reports yet. That's good. Let's pull the Champaign camera up, and I hear some rain and rumbling outside. There's Danville. Let's go back to Champaign here. We'll pop up our studio camera. There it is. That's the downburst wind there. All that bright lights again. That's going to be up towards Prospect Avenue. Intense wind. Sneaking by there. That's about the direction of that severe storm. I'm kind of keeping my eye on it there. Really intense lightning on it so far here. I have not seen... The lights are still on up there, so that's some good news. But we'll see if that holds based on recent trends here. Oop, looks like I just accidentally clicked that off. Be curious. We kind of keep an eye on that storm up north there. If something power does go off, you'll be able to kind of see that with all the lighting that's in there. So we're going to keep our eyes on this for a bit as we got some blustery winds coming on through. I'm looking at my radar here. Looks like that core of wind now in northwest Champaign. It's kind of at the 57-74 junction there. And we'll see if that ends up bringing a lot of wind into the center and north part of town here before long. So going to be a big old wind bag here before long, I think. Still some strong winds showing up in eastern Douglas County and into southern Vermilion and Edgar counties as well. And then there's been some blustery winds as well down towards the Mattoon, Charleston area as these storms have rolled on through. If you got any reports as well, I would appreciate those. And I'm going to leave this up. I got to disconnect from this computer, and I got to reconnect to the chat computer to allow me to see anything here. So if you've got any reports from Champaign-Urbana, that would be helpful. And I'm just going to throw this on pretty quickly here. Still got power up there. I've not seen any hail. No viewers reporting. A lot of wind. Up by Meyer, plenty of lightning. The lightning's been probably most impressive out of all of this here. And with this northern cell, certainly is the case with that. So, okay, nothing there. So let's go back to our Max computer. At this point, so far, these storms have had a lot more bark than bite. That doesn't mean that's going to change here quickly, but we've seen a lot more intense signatures on radar, and that hasn't made it down to the ground. That could still change. There has been some wind damage. I know there's some trees and homes in the Riverton, Spalding area, some branches reported down Wapella, and also in the Decatur area, some power lines down in the Decatur area as well. So I kind of leave this camera on to see kind of what happens here. I'm kind of in a center room here in the building, so I can hear something, but this is going to be our best view to the outside world. And I'll move it. You really can't see those lights there on the edge of the screen much anymore. Where like Meyer is, where PetSmart, where Target, all that is in Northwest Champaign up there on Prospect, North Champaign. And the rain's really intense. This is kind of looking more towards the downtown area. You can see at the bottom left the round building that sits kind of close to the TV station, barely sticking up there. And yeah, I hear it now. I hear that lightning and thunder now. I thought I heard something. I'm like, what is that? Okay, so that's a look at the storm. Let's go ahead and pull the radar up real quick, and we'll pop back over there in a second, kind of keep an eye on it. For the area, main concern going to be from Oakland to Newman and then into Edgar County. Douglas County finally winding down. Still rain, still thunder, lightning, still windy, but the leading edge pushing to the east. That's good news. Into Champaign County. It's basically Champaign-Urbana metro area to the south and east where the greatest concern is. Mahomet, you're done. Fisher, Rantoul, you're done with this batch of storm. There has been some notice of more storms developing in western Illinois, even there just northwest of Springfield. We'll see. I'm not too concerned about that being a problem for us tonight, but we'll keep an eye on it. Really, it seems like this batch coming through should be out of here in the next hour or two, which will be some good news for us, and then we will be onto some cooler and drier weather on the forecast. So that's some good news for us here as we continue to watch. Heavy rain now really centered over town. I'll flip on the velocity, and it doesn't show quite the bright colors, but sometimes with downbursts, you don't see that as much. Kind of looping through. Some of that wind coming on. The strongest wind signatures, have by and large, been to the south of us, across Douglas, Coles, now Edgar County, even southern Champaign County earlier. And while those signatures have been really impressive, still we haven't had widespread problems with wind damage. We haven't had widespread problems with power outages. That's just not been the case, and that's good news for us. We thought the severe threat would be on the more isolated side, but even then it's been really isolated, and I won't be the one to complain about that. I'm happy here. There has been some damage reported, but nothing that has been, compared to what we've dealt with before here this year in central Illinois. So I'm kind of glancing through some of the Facebook comments, checking some of the information out. Lots of folks saying their football games are delayed. I'm curious to hear about the Tuscola area. If there's any damage reports in that area. I have not seen any damage reports per se. I know there's some sporadic power outages. The lightning and thunder has probably been the most impressive thing out of this here coming on through. And you get that big gnarly looking shelf cloud coming through, the lightning and the wind that comes with that. So that's probably good news that we're having this trend play out here. Kind of checking all the different sources and looking at things and whatnot. That little So basically centered right over Champaign-Urbana has been the problem for us here. And that'll continue to be the problem for the next little bit. Pull the sky cam back up here. This is from the studio looking off to the north and northwest. Yeah, pretty solid lightning here. The lightning's causing the camera to glitch out. You kind of see those electric lines that show up there. We'll go to the stadium camera now. This one's going to be facing, I think we've still got it turned to the south. I'm not sure if Seth's actually turned that or not. I'm trying to think of what he's looking at here. He may have that facing west. That looks like it's facing west to me. I think that's the Walgreens at the base there on Kirby and Neal. Kind of tilt that one down for a bit here. And, okay, so that's the studio. The stadium one is the one I want to turn. Pretty intense lightning coming in there. Yeah, that's going to be looking west from Memorial Stadium. I'll give that a little peek off to the north. Kind of looking more towards campus here. Good summer storm. All that instability that's in place is broken loose. And now we got this electric summertime, nighttime thunderstorm rolling on through. Just checking some messages real quick. Whoop, something happened to the camera there. Getting a lot of these reports coming on in. Oh, I got a cool video of a storm from the air. That's neat. See, a lot of folks sending videos of the lightning and the thunder. Some folks sharing video of the rain and the wind. And good summer soaker has been coming on through here. So pretty intense lightning. You know, it's good. I'm happy this is not coming through tonight. Like, you know, say 2 a.m. Once this comes on through, I think we'll get some sleep out of this. That'd be nice. And then we're gonna wake up tomorrow morning. That front should be on its way out, maybe lingering I-70. But I think a lot of us are gonna have some beautiful weekend weather here. I think you're gonna love the weekend forecast. Saturday should really be nice, and Sunday's gonna be even nicer here. So that's some good news with the forecast as we look forth. We just gotta pay for that with some of this storm activity that continues to push on through the region. And those severe thunderstorm warnings are going to continue for another 25 minutes or so in the region. So that's what we got right now. I have not seen anything new coming in report-wise. I'm just going to confirm really quick here. Oh, you know what? I got to press this button. So Macon, DeWitt, and Christian counties on the back side are now clear from the severe thunderstorm watch. So that's some good news. We do have still that watch for a portion of the area. And I'll pull up the map here so you can see current watches and warnings. Might take it a minute here. There it is. So they just pulled a new warning for southern Edgar County. Not surprised by that. That's going to be for 60-mile-an-hour winds. Really, I think even Piatt County is in the clear, and even Moultrie probably by now. And we'll start seeing those counties cut back. The watch goes, I think it goes till midnight tonight, but it might exit a little quicker than that, which could be some good news. You know, once these line of storms carry on through, then that's pretty much the end for you here. So there's that new warning for southern Edgar County. Storm coming into Paris from Kansas now. Basically all of Edgar County, eastern and northern eastern Douglas County. All of Champaign-Urbana points to the south and east, and then the southern and western parts of Vermilion County, not including Danville, under severe thunderstorm warnings. We're already getting the worst of the storm now is going to be basically over Cunningham and 74, where it's the center of the storm in Champaign-Urbana. Plenty of lightning, not really much in the way of hail, and I haven't had any hail reports tonight. We were a little suspicious early on we might get that. I'll throw on the hail size now. Okay, there could be some pea-sized hail mixed on in. The storms in Indiana might have the better chance to bring some hail. And then on the wind side, Been some sporadic reports. I do know of some homes that have had trees come through the roofs in the Spalding and Riverton areas. We've got some power lines down in Decatur, some branches in Wapella that are down, and anything like that. You know, you lost some branches, you lost power. Let us know. We would like to hear those reports. You know, that wind now. One of the issues we're facing now is that we're getting so far from the radar where, you know, Edgar, Vermilion County, we don't quite get as good of a view of that radar as we wish we could. I'll switch it. You're going to see the colors invert. They're going to be green now. I'll switch it here to the Indianapolis radar. And you can see that bright green coming into the Paris area. So there's probably some wind in that area. How strong it is, we'll see. That leading edge at least shows up now, coming from, say, Ogden down towards Seidel, off towards west of Chrisman, and then towards Paris, where the leading edge of that wind is. I can at least make that out by looking at the features. But as far as the radar goes, okay, that's just that update for Edgar County that they sent out. All that lightning too, Indiana, from those storms. They get that passed. There's been a few cracks here and there. It looks like a little cell popping up near Latham, a few flashes. Sherman, north of town there, southeastern Menard County. That'd be the northwest of Williamsville. There's been a few little cells in Menard County, some more in western Illinois. I tend to think that these storms that are coming on through are almost washing out the instability in the atmosphere. I won't rule out a strong overnight, but I think we're going to be okay once this batch moves on through. So really now, say Tuscola, I think you're good. Arcola, Humboldt, you're fine. Even into places like Oakland and even Mattoon and Charleston, there are still lightning, thunder, and rain. But the wind seems to be more off to the east and south of those, east and moving off to the south and east from those areas. So that leading edge is where that strong wind is. So we'll say that, you know, Champaign-Urbana, St. Joseph, Homer, Tolono, off towards Allerton, Broadland, Longview, Newman area, towards Redmond, Paris, Chrisman, Georgetown, and then even to the south there from Paris. Still going to be some wind there. Still, Coles County, I think, is going to have an intense storm. And even this storm that's over Neoga, be near Mattoon, off to the south for Stewartson and Strasburg. That's also going to be a rather intense-looking spot that continues on through. So we will continue to carry these out. You're going to have lightning and thunder, and that's the case. We should expect that. But a lot of areas, again, getting more bark than bite from these storms. And that's some good news for us here. We're okay with that. We keep it that way. There's been a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, noisy. Football games probably aren't appreciating this. But, you know, we get these storms out, and then we should be able to get those games back on. There's still some spotty showers here and there, but certainly something still worth watching. Okay, kind of checking some of the other information. That is not us. This one as well. That is not us either. So we're okay on that. Still going on digital here. It's 10:26. Heavy storms in the Champaign-Urbana area. A lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. That core of the storm now is going to be off on High Cross Road, 45 to the east. Still getting lightning and thunder in Champaign-Urbana. And then some of those storms continuing to kind of fill on in towards Champaign-Urbana, moving to the south and east towards Broadlands, Georgetown, Homer. That leading surge coming into the Paris area in Edgar County. And we'll continue to see that as it moves on through. And then a couple of spotty showers and cells on the back side there showing up. Kind of adjust things here. So the newscast should be wrapping up shortly. That's some good news. I'm going to go back, check the stream computer, and that's going to allow me to look at your comments and chats here. Somebody might say, hey, I got this, or Okay. Some strong winds in Paris, still windy in Charleston. Rancho is quiet, Farmshire is safe, that's good news. Strong winds in Paris. Some folks saying it's finally cooler outside. That's true. That's very true. At this point, probably the strongest wind potential is going to be in the Paris area. Is my thoughts as that surge of wind fills on in there. So I'll be curious if anyone gets any reports from that. You got a message say, hey, I got trees down, I got power lines down, I got whatever the case is. That's probably where the strongest wind is going to be here in our region. Still have the severe thunderstorm warning for Champaign and Vermilion County. That core of the storm now coming into St. Joe. Going to be plenty of rain, plenty of wind. In fact, probably should just check some rain totals here. This might be a good inch or two of rain in parts of Champaign County. Had a 1.8 inch report come out from Decatur. Not surprised. Usually when you see the yellow, you see that hit the 2 inch mark. We're just shy in that greenish yellow, that lime green color, that 1.5 to 2 inch range. And I'm sure this has still got to catch up a little bit. I can probably check the gauge real fast at Willard. That's Springfield. Let's check the Willard gauge and see how much rain they've gotten here. So Willard is Willard's up to only about it's about 4/10 or so is what it's at. We had numerous 50-mile gusts. And, some of the scattered storms kind of hit and miss here. There'll probably be some spots in town, 3/4 to an inch of rain maybe. The Decatur areas where I had some of those bigger reports come on in. That's actually kind of interesting. You see that backside, that greenish color. There's still some spotty sprinkles and showers that are moving on even behind this. And we can see the occasional lightning strike continue as well, even behind these storms. A few more spots popping up, but overall, I'm encouraged by how things are playing out here. Paris area probably has the best potential for wind. You can see it in Edgar County now, so there's issues coming on, but again, the wind is the problem there as we get that surge of the line coming on through. Power outage numbers, we'll check that real quick and to see if there's any updates. About 150 in Douglas County, 700 in Macon County, and then some of the harder hit areas, Menard, Mason, Logan County have a number out. There's even a handful out in Sangamon County. Then in Effingham, Clay County, still about 200 customers out of power. That's for the Mason area from earlier storms that carried on through that area. Okay. So our severe thunderstorm warnings also are still for 60-mile-per-hour winds. St. Joe, Ogden, and there's all these little pulsy cells. Jamaica, Sidell, probably by the Salt Fork School. Then towards Georgetown, Ridge Farm, Chrisman, some spotty showers and storms. This big surge here is racing ahead into Paris, south of Chrisman. That's probably the most concerned area that I have at this point, is down there in Edgar County. There could still be some gusty winds in Ogden, St. Joseph, Homer areas. You'll see that the warning has been dropped for Broadlands, Tolono, Allerton areas. We still have southern Vermilion County and then all of Edgar County. So Douglas County, we're clear. In Champaign County, basically from US 45 west is clear. It's going to be East Urbana, St. Joe, Ogden, Homer in our area. And then along and south of I-74 in Vermilion County, and then all of Edgar County. That's it. You're watching Douglas, Coles County, you're good. Storms are still pretty intense there, Neoga, Cumberland County, but the thing is that our leading edge of the wind is far ahead of those. And so I don't really have anything that concerns me on multiple fronts here. I'll just kind of switch radars, and I'll switch again here. So the leading edge of the wind, actually, when you make it out on radar, is way down there. That's kind of that leading edge. The storms that we're seeing, they're kind of in that area. So see how far behind that leading edge they are? So they're really not too concerned for severe weather. Yeah, you'll still get plenty of lightning. You'll still get wind. Some breezy winds at times. But usually you want those storms to be on the line if they have a chance of being severe. And that leading edge of wind that's way out ahead is from the earlier storms, so they're outflow dominant. Just had so the lights flicker here at the TV station. Wonder if we had a close lightning strike. Sometimes our tower gets hit, and when that happens, as it's getting absorbed into the ground, I suppose, sometimes we'll kind of suffer a little from that, and maybe that's what happened here. So yeah, that core there is going to be basically on top of the Walmart in Urbana, where the center part of the storm is here with all the electrical heading over towards St. Joe. Homer, Sydney, St. Joe, Ogden, Fairmount, Jamaica, Sidell, Indianola, Georgetown, Ridge Farm, and then Paris is probably all we have to worry about. I'm seeing a little more lightning pick back up in some of these storms, Mount Pulaski, Williamsville, the Sherman, Salisbury, Pleasant Plains area, but it's not too concerning at this point, and I don't think we'll get a whole lot of severe. Looking a little more intense there in western Illinois. I think that severe threat will be a little lower tonight since this batch of storms just came on through, but we'll keep an eye on it here. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do a look at current conditions? And in Champaign right now, it is a wonderful 75 degrees. Let's see if we've got some of those wind gust reports. Mattoon 53, last check 36 in Champaign. We've been up to 49. Even sustained winds are up there.
I'm all good since it's sports wrap, so I can help out in here if you want me to.
Oh, okay, sure. Did you turn your mic on?
I did not. I didn't know which one you were logged into. I can turn it up real quick.
No, I mean,
I can also
how long is sports wrap going to go?
They go till about 35 or 40. We started about 10 minutes late because of NFL and stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, the show started late.
Yes.
So 10 o'clock news is at 10:10.
Correct, yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I was wondering. I was like,
there was an NFL preseason game on.
So I'm sure people can still hear you in here. I just kind of lazily checking conditions. It's now 75 out, which is pretty nice. And dew points, they're still going to be up a little bit, but I think by tomorrow morning when that wind kicks on in from the north, it'll still probably, would you say it's probably still be a little muggy in the morning?
Yeah, probably. It's going to take a little bit for the dew points to clear out.
Yeah, you get a system coming through. It takes a little time for the atmosphere to respond, but we will get some drier air. I think tomorrow afternoon at some point we'll be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then Sunday you wake up and be like, ooh.
Some people to the south might still kind of feel hot and muggy tomorrow.
Yeah, down in your neck of the woods, down in Effingham County.
Outside for a portion of the day, so oh well. There was plenty of other worse days during this week to be out there, so we'll take mid-80s.
Did the lights flash at all in the studio?
Not that I saw.
They flashed in here. I was like, huh. I kind of thought.
That I noticed anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to take the stadium camera and look back to the east because that main core for the severe thunderstorm warning is now kind of over Wally World over there on the east side. So kind of turn the camera and watch that. Haven't had too many reports coming from the area. I don't know if you've seen any.
Yeah, I've just had a lot of like tree damage. I haven't had a lot of structural damage.
Yeah, where have you seen some of the more recent tree damage reports?
I got something from. Oh, I'll have to look here again. Something was popping up. Oh boy, I don't know if it was like Pine or Moultrie or somewhere in there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything in Champaign County come on in yet. It seems like these storms have been super electric and there's tons of instability. And for whatever reason, they've had a lot more bark than bite.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Kind of been a rain overproducer. The rain's been a little more widespread than what I had.
I'd agree with that. We kind of were on target with one cluster of storms,
Right,
but
yeah.
it was
Just kind of opened up a little bit there over time.
yeah, it was a bigger cluster than maybe we thought it was going to be, and that's okay. That happens. We've been pretty much on message like, hey, football.
Yep. Watch out.
Sports is
Wind.
that 10-minute delay. Thanks to NFL. I think the sports teams still have. I think Gibson City. I heard we're resuming at 10:15 after a lightning delay. Just imagine what it is here in town and in other places. And then there's still some storms kind of popping up.
Couple little cells.
Out there.
But also a little tail kind of above Springfield too.
Yeah, I think the storms down there at Effingham in Cumberland County, the good news is that leading edge is way south. Yeah. So that will still be intense. Probably interested most in the Paris areas that surged out there. And kind of in our area, I'm like, all right.
Kind of
summer storms.
Thing, yep.
So Kevin, I think, had some fun in the storm tracker. He's been posting a few photos, pictures. Is he back yet?
He is. He was in the studio there for just a little bit, kind of.
Did he drop it off and head home?
I don't know if he's still lurking around. I saw him about 10 minutes ago, but I have not looked around since then. So he could be hanging around.
He'll be around somewhere, I'm sure. So, well, how about this? AWS kind of commenting that the boundary hasn't moved much. It's from Logan down to Edgar County, which is kind of the path of where these storms are. I want to give you my I'm going to go chat with Kevin.
Was hanging around the studio.
You can leave your mic on. Okay. Your mic is not
doing anything.
Just clip that and sit there. So let's take it over. I got to go find Kevin.
Alrighty, folks. Give me just a second to get this thing tossed on here. Got some double microphone action, even though only one of them's on, so it looks a little weird, but it'll get the job done. As I was saying, maybe you were kind of split on where you're watching, both across the social platforms here and the news itself, but kind of just watching things get ready to exit here. I mentioned that severe thunderstorm watch only goes till midnight, and that's probably going to hold true there for those that are still included in it, because these storms have enough pace that they're going to exit the area here pretty promptly. But obviously still seeing a good deal of rain and lightning here with this. One problem we're running into, we're not really seeing an accurate view at the ground. You see the Lincoln radar all the way over there doing its little sweeping rounds. Next closest radar is all the way over here in Indianapolis. And what I think I'll do is switch things to where we can see the closest radar, whichever one that may be. I think Jacob might have us locked in on the Lincoln radar only. I'll have to look around here. I'm in his little setup, so it's not quite the same as mine. There we go. So yeah, it still says Lincoln's closest. We move to the right a little bit. You see the colors change just a little bit as we get a different angle on things. And actually, we're at the Evansville radar is the one we're looking at there. So this gets us a better view of some of those southern storms, which again aren't too significant. And as Jacob alluded to, right over there, and again, forgive me, he's got different tools than I do. So right about here, that's where your gust front is. Obviously well out ahead of the rain, obviously outrunning the rain, and going to kind of let these storms die a little bit as they push on through. The main concern here at the moment continues to be this little, kind of doesn't really resemble a Boeing segment anymore, but there was one kind of over the Edgar County area, now starting to push closer towards the Terre Haute region, kind of just south of our Indiana counties. Probably where the bulk of your wind is. Everyone else is probably just getting some pretty standard summer thunderstorm type impacts here, especially places like Georgetown, eastern Champaign here at the moment as well. Those are probably the only places that are kind of I should say, kind of feeling storm impacts, but not necessarily severe storm. Even if they are in that warning, gusts around 60 miles an hour are probably more isolated up here than they are down to the south. So let me see. I'm kind of still getting used to Jacob's setup here, so I'm going to see if I can pull up the chat anywhere. I think he is on computer 1, which is fine and dandy, but I do believe I need computer 2 here. So let me see what I can do about getting that up here so I can check out what's happening in the chat, because I am a little blind here at the moment, unfortunately, without that. So give me just a moment. I'll be a little quiet here as I try to remote on in and take a look at our chat. Just keep an eye on things, because I definitely want to hear from you guys, and I want you to feel like you're being talked to as opposed to, or you're being talked with as opposed to me just kind of talking to you. And it looks like they are doing some stuff on that computer, so unfortunately I'll probably just have to leave you guys here in the dark just a little bit, but I will keep things obviously steered here on the radar, and hopefully they'll relay anything to me that is that needs to be relayed here. So let's see if we can. There's probably not any good sky cams left here. There's probably a decent look in Danville at probably the lightning. I'll see what I can do with that. We'll pull up the camera here and see which one. We're still on Champaign there. Let's see what we can do about getting that switched over to our Danville cam. And there we go. We're still seeing some good lightning here in Champaign, but let's take a look in Danville and see what there is to see here. Switching things over. Yep, still kind of seeing lightning there in the background. Don't believe anything's come through downtown Danville yet, as it looks like the rain's kind of just staying off there to the south. But I mean, you're not feeling some pretty gusty conditions as things get moving here. And it appears, we'll flip back on radar, it appears that the warning that was once over southern Vermilion and northern Edgar has been canceled, or has been not renewed. So kind of that little region right in here, northern Edgar County there, kind of around the Crispin region, you look to be in the clear here from this storm. So it looks like just a little bit of rain is going to be behind that, and then that'll be pretty much it for you. And it'll be pretty much it for all of us here in a matter of about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, as this gets ready to kind of cross the state line and head out into the Hoosier State, where it'll continue to make some noise. And one thing I mentioned on the 10 o'clock show, I'm not sure if Jacob's mentioned yet, I'm going to put things in motion here. Those Indiana counties, they've been getting some rain here for about the last couple of hours. Kind of just watching there, kind of around the Rockville area, I believe. Yeah, you've been getting quite a bit of rain here over the last couple hours, so definitely a concern that direction that hasn't really been out here across into Illinois. So keep things in mind, probably getting the water to pile up pretty good over that way. We'll freeze things here, get our latest scans, and we will turn on the lightning to see how things are going in that way. Although I do believe that has calmed down here a bit. Yep, definitely looking a little more sparse, except, whoa, kind of there in the Cumberland County area, pretty aggressive lightning, actually some pretty high concentration. And now I'm curious to see what I can see from the Effingham camera. So kind of park things here for a minute, get some of those town names out of the way so you can get a little better of a look at the radar. And there they go, clean up the lightning. And we will play with our camera for a sec, see what's going on in Effingham. And then we will show you what's going on, I should say northeast of Effingham. Doesn't look like anything's going on there in town itself. We'll get things turned around. And we'll probably be able to enjoy quite the light show here, as we've been able to in many parts of the area all night tonight. But it's always fun to look at lightning, especially when you're not outside being affected by it. You know, it's always a little more enjoyable when it doesn't affect you any. So we will get things turned, and definitely seeing a decent light show over that direction. So we will flip things over to the Skycam, which is still in Danville. Let's fix that. And in a moment, it'll be in Effingham. And as promised, there we go. Taking a look in Effingham. Whoa, it is a little behind. There we go. I was going to say that was still looking to the southwest. Now we're kind of looking into the northeast part of town. Kind of looking out there towards the the Effingham Equity green bins out that direction, kind of here in town by the railroad tracks. Just watching as the lightning kind of cruises on to the northeast of town, up I-70, kind of out towards the Casey direction out there. I'm going to turn back on our radar here, and we'll see the bulk of the action really happening there in Cumberland County, but also making its impact felt over there in parts of Clark County as well. A lot of rain here at this point, and if I'm not mistaken, unless I'm on some different product here, which I will double check, and it is confirmed there is no active warnings here in the area, which is obviously good news for all of us. I'll kind of keep an eye on things. Sometimes in between issuances of warnings, they let it expire and then reissue, but right now it looks like there is not any kind of active warnings here. So that is music to everybody's ears, even though it's just now deciding to do this as it exits the area. Again, though, we haven't had any big-time reports of any kind of damage going on. Big-time damage, I should say. Plenty of tree limbs and power lines down, so obviously that has its own impacts that aren't to be undersold there, but nothing that we thought could happen with 70-mile-an-hour gusts like what was warned for there for a little bit, which is good. You can still sustain some things there even with gusts that strong, but usually you get some pretty widespread activity there. And what I'll do is we'll take a look at some power outage numbers and just kind of get an update on that. These sometimes take a little bit to come in and maybe aren't always as current as they could be. So Macon County with 1,000 customers without power. Douglas County upwards of 150 without power right now. Looks like some of the hardest hit places were from the beginning of these storms, kind of the Logan and Macon County areas. Aside from that, nothing too crazy. There's a few in Effingham. I think that may have been from kind of the first storm of the day down there to the south, kind of in the late afternoon hours. So this is obviously good to see when you don't have any severe warnings. And with that being the case, I don't really foresee anything too eventful going on here, especially with the bulk of the storms now crossing over into Indiana. We're just kind of getting some good rain, maybe a decent storm up there in Cumberland counties. But with the severe threat, pretty much, I mean, it is gone here at the moment. Not to say something couldn't spark up here again later, but this looks to be pretty minimized and starting to exit the area. So with that said, I think I'm going to put a bow on things here. For anybody kind of just jumped in here at the last second to see what was going on, your severe thunderstorm watch, only until midnight. And that's all I would expect. Anything past that, I wouldn't expect anything to happen here. At least it'll be out of the area. So that said, continue to stay safe out there and obviously kind of watch these things exit the area. But we should be in pretty good shape here for the rest of the night. So that said, we're probably going to wrap things up here, which might take me a second considering that I don't have access to the stream here. Let me see what I can do about that here for just a moment. So I'll probably go quiet here and see how I can handle that. And once I figure it out, I will say... And here's Jacob. Yeah, I am ready to wrap up,
Okay,
but...
log on in, take
okay, I noticed you guys were looking at some stuff on the stream PC right when I hopped in earlier. I'm like, oh, yeah, don't want to interrupt that. So there we go. All right, now that I've found my stream again.
So glad that you've decided to stay all night just to keep everyone just
all
in
night
case,
long.
Right?
You know, we
Whereas
always...
Kevin and I are going home, we're going to bed.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we always kind of joke about storms kind of dying off when I get in charge of things. Here I am. I walk in here and all the warnings wipe away.
There you
So
go, yeah.
still keeping the magic touch. All right, folks, continue to stay safe out there.
We'll be around.
Yep, we'll be around. We'll keep an eye on
You'll see
things
Seth in the morning.
the rest of the night. You'll see Jacob tomorrow night, though, a rare weekend appearance from Jacob Dickey. So if you haven't gotten enough of him yet, well, get ready for some more tomorrow. So with that said, folks,